Ho, 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 ho. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Armchair Expert.
Wow.
We're a day out from Halloween.
We're so close.
Oh, we're so close. It's getting so exciting.
It is.
Ghouls and goblins are everywhere. They abound. I have to say, in my years of going on late night talk shows, a person I had particular fun and excitement when going to their show was Craig Ferguson.
He's very fun.
There's no one that was ever more off the cuff and less on script than Craig Ferguson.
Yeah.
It was a practice in chaos that was so pleasurable if you're an improv person.
He's so funny.
He's so funny and he looks so cool. He's got awesome gray hair with a cool spike and a very tight fade.
Tats.
Tats galore.
Yep.
He almost looks a little Anthony Bourdain-y.
Oh, I could see that.
Yeah,
I could
real
see that.
punk rock. I really liked it.
So on Flightless Bird, there's been a new recurring thing that's been happening where David kind of he doesn't know he's doing it, but he's brought up men's arms.
Muscular arms, usually.
And tattooed arms like multiple times. He'll
Have
like
mine
throw
made
it
the
in.
mix or
Charlie.
Well, because fantasy football, so he went to the fantasy football thing, draft, and then he couldn't stop talking about how many male arms were out, and then he
felt gratuitous.
I think he liked it. I think he liked it.
Arousing.
And then he brought it up again on another episode, sort of haphazardly. So I think he would have really liked Craig's arms.
Oh, sure.
Because they were so tatted.
He'd been very aroused.
Yeah, I think he might have.
Yes, I think we all were. Craig Ferguson, of course, The Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson for years. Drew Carey, he was a hilarious cast member of the Drew Carey Show. He has a new podcast out now called Joy, a Podcast. And he does what he does best, which is interview people in a very, very accelerated, creative, chaotic way that I happen to be an enormous fan of.
This was a very fun interview.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed it.
Please enjoy Craig Ferguson and happy trick-or-treating to everyone.
Enjoy. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
Hello there.
You're here already. Hello.
Hi, Monica.
Hello, Monica. Hiya. Hello,
How
sweetheart.
are you?
You look great, man.
You do too. You look very cool.
Oh, stop.
No, look
You look
at it.
cool.
Stop.
You're so cool.
I'm not cool.
You're very, very
I'm
cool.
tats are
just
exposed.
European.
Are you even that?
No.
Scottish
No,
aren't
Scottish aren't European.
Is it okay if I urinate in front of you?
Yeah, actually, I just had a pee-pee time myself, and what was nice about it, it's kind of like going to jail or being in the army, but,
Yeah.
That's right.
but I think you'd have to poo to really be part
understand
of it.
Yeah. Well, feel free at any time.
I don't know that I'm ready for it. I'm not confident enough.
Maybe halfway through the interview, you'll feel really comfortable.
I don't know. I mean, if I feel that comfortable, I might just like.
Just in
Craig,
the pants.
we
Yeah.
generally step out for guests that we don't know, like if they have to go, right? We go stand on the landing.
Rob did that, but he obviously places me in higher esteem than you guys.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I feel like I know where I stand.
But what
We're
happens
not
is
getting out.
sometimes we're out there for going on 5 minutes where we could only conclude
Poop.
they have upgraded this.
We've never come in and smelt.
No, but you know what we don't ever consider also is that maybe someone's peeing, they accidentally fart, and it smells, and they're like, they open a window and they're trying to clear everything out. Then
No,
That's
that's,
the delay.
you
That's my
overcomplicated
nightmare.
that. No, that's
don't
no,
think
no.
so.
I don't think that's what happened. I think nobody poops, or they may poop out the window. Have you checked? Yeah.
That's something that I feel like
Let me
we would
turn
do
this
in our
off.
addiction.
Yeah, no kidding. I don't know if I ever pooped out a window. Did you ever shit yourself? We should probably save this.
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
podcast.
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, we're recording.
I
We're
wondered if
ADR.
I don't know if I think I did.
Yeah, what
I
do you
tell
mean
I
you
tell
think you did? You wouldn't have gotten
I'm gonna-
sober if you were the type of addict who hadn't shit themselves. What? Get real.
I might have.
That'd be like, I'm not sure if I blacked out. Well, then you should still be drinking.
Yeah, now, see, you can't say that because there's all sorts of different people. But you're right, though. People say
You can't say that, but you're right.
Yeah, but you can. But there's so much of that in life now that things that you can't say that. But
Oh.
you're
Sure.
right. You know,
We're
you-
kind of done. We
Are
are
you on the other side?
Yeah, we're saying this stuff.
Many people are, I think. I was on the plane yesterday coming in from London, and I watched a lot of episodes I hadn't seen of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, yes.
These guys are fucking
So
fearless. I love
good.
them.
They're incredible. Do you know any of them personally?
Caitlin, I worked with.
oh, yes, on Drew Carey.
She was on the Drew Carey show.
So Caitlin and I joined the Groundlings together. We're the oldest of friends. And then Rob, her husband.
Right. I've never met any of these
You
guys.
would fucking love him. He's in England all the time now with that football
Wrexham.
team.
Yeah, Wales. I think we have to say Wales. Have we started now?
Oh, yeah,
All
we're
right.
in.
ABR, always be recorded.
Right. No, I like it. But I want to show you something because we were talking about. I don't know if we had started when we started talking about it.
Who
but I
knows?
want to prove to you something that I'm still who I am. I've been sober for 31 years.
Incredible.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Truly.
But we were talking about, did you ever shit yourself
Yes.
when you were
Using.
out there? I can't remember if I did, but I think I might have. And I've got a little bag here, like a little purse, like a little man purse. I still always bring
An extra pair of undies.
clean pair of underpants.
Well, right in the little...
Look, see?
They're
Look.
full
I'm
boxers. They're not
Yeah, no, I
small.
like a little air. You know what? These might go back to when I was a portlier gentleman, but I still carry a pair of underpants just in case I accidentally... Now, I'm not reaching an age where I might shit myself anyway.
Right.
Like when
Yes.
I expressed myself a little there,
Yeah.
I think I felt a little action.
Sure.
Nothing moved.
Well, let's just acknowledge things aren't getting tighter as you grow older.
No, they're not.
So the
No.
need for those panties are probably ever increasing.
Well, a little bit, but maybe they should be more diapery.
Can we go back though? Let's just say what we could deduce from you carrying your underwear in the bag. If you had handcuffs in there or zip ties,
No.
we could conclude some things.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
know.
you could.
You're not carrying a fire extinguisher around with you.
Okay.
Right.
Right. I'm not carrying a fire extinguisher
Yes.
around with me.
This is very revealing and telling, and I
Yeah.
appreciate your vulnerability.
Oh, that's all right.
Let's go back to using. First of all, I have shit my pants. If I'm being dead honest, it's about a yearly event.
Do you plan it? Is it like,
It's ceremonial.
December 31st. I haven't done it yet. We gotta
honey,
get it.
you know what day it is today?
Take the kids to the store. I've got a little something to do for the next 15 minutes. No, but about once a year, I have a toot that surprises me. Not a full evacuation,
Right,
but just
right.
oh, Jesus, now I got to go to the bathroom.
I
and
think that's
clean it.
normal. I think a lot of people have that.
Right.
Yeah.
It tends to over-index with males. I've done a lot of asking around
Yeah.
among friends and family. And men seem to have that incident at least once a year, and women almost never, but maybe a couple
Oh,
times.
come on now. I think you might be doing is falling into the trap of women also don't toots either.
No, they
Yeah,
toot like
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
No, here's what I'll tell you, and you'll like this. Women pee their pants all the time on accident. We don't ever do that.
I have, but not in recent times.
I've peed the bed while asleep while
I
intoxicated.
peed the bed every night until I was 13.
okay.
Until I was 13.
Uh-huh.
And then I stopped when I was 13.
Yeah, and then resumed.
And then I started drinking when I was about 14. I picked it up again.
Oh my God, 1 year
one
later.
year.
Yeah,
reprieve.
the laundry business in Scotland was badly affected in the 1970s with my dry period. And then when I was 29, I got sober, and I have not peed myself since.
You know what's so weird? I don't think we've ever talked about this, but I was 29 as well.
Were you really?
Mm-hmm.
It's a funny time for men, or for everyone, but I've only ever been a man, so I don't know. But I've talked to men, and round about then, it seems quite common to make a change in your life like that.
Or just hopping into 40. I think there's something about the decade approaching where you go, okay, I just spent the last decade hammered and blacked out and doing regrettable, shameful things. Are we about to embark on another? Because I was 3 months before my 30th birthday.
That's exactly when I got
Really?
sober. Yeah, 3 months before my 30th
You're a
birthday.
May baby?
Yeah, I got sober on February the 18th,
Uh-huh.
1992, and I was 30 on May the 17th.
That's really trippy because I was September and then birthday January 2nd.
That's funny. I wonder what that is. I think there's something in it, though, a little bit. It's definitely a time to take stock.
Yeah.
Inventory, as it's talked about.
Yeah, we knew it somehow before we knew it. Like, we should probably take stock of this. Do you think some of it boils down to, I just didn't have the constitution? Maybe I was very prone to shame.
I was going to say it's about shame, I think.
Shame for me was very sticky and weighed on me a lot.
Yeah, I think that's true as well. I used to be very envious of people who would get really hammered and then they would go, I'm so hammered, ha, ha, ha. And they would think it was kind of funny, or they would enjoy the physical sensation of having a hangover and feeling kind of bad.
Like they had been to war and back. There is some glory.
Right. They had achieved some kind of thing. But the deep hangover of the soul, the shame hangover,
Yeah.
and it's not really about behavior. It's there before the alcohol. I think for me it was anyway.
Were you
I mean,
religious?
I am now.
You are now.
I think so. Not in an orthodoxy way, but I'm much more interested in it now. I think I was probably a bit interested in it then. But when I was a kid, I grew up around a lot of sectarian violence and hatred, and everything was attached to religion.
Will you fill us in? Because I'm totally ignorant. I'm aware of the Irish North-South Catholic Protestant.
It's very similar.
In Scotland?
In Glasgow, yeah. In fact, there's a huge Irish community in Glasgow. So the Rangers Celtic of it, which is the soccer teams in Glasgow, that was connected to Rangers were predominantly Protestants and Glasgow were predominantly Catholics, and that's what it was. The advantage of it as well is it gave you a colour to wear. So if you combine the sporting colour with the religious bigotry, then you've got clear battle lines drawn up.
Very clear in and out group there.
And that helped people identify the enemy. Scotland in the 1970s was so violent that even if you were on the same side, you would find a way.
Okay, here's another big overlap for me. So I'm Detroit,
Very similar.
70s, 80s, very blue collar, a lot of people up from Kentucky, a lot of culture of pride and honor.
Yeah.
Just fucking violence everywhere. I was just writing about the other day. In my town, no accomplishment would excuse you from getting your ass kicked at a gas station if you took the pump first.
Yes.
Right? It was always on the table.
See, that I think is something that right now and for quite a long time, the contemporary American politicians and broadcasters that are in the political sphere do not understand about grown up poor. If you grow up poor, doesn't matter what you are, what your color is, all you have is respect. And manners really fucking matter. So like when you're talking about the gas pump thing or anything like that, they really matter. So if you, for example, exclude or disrespect a whole group of people, like when Hillary Clinton said the deplorables, you're not just talking about what you think of their political thoughts. You've just insulted a whole socioeconomic group. And also I think with politicians now, you know when politicians say, I'm going to be the senator or I'm going to be the president for all Americans? If I was being a politician, I'd be like, no, I'm only going to help the people that voted for me, so you better vote for me. Or,
You're fucked if you
or
don't
you're
show
in big
up.
fucking trouble.
Yeah, because it's looking like I'm going to win.
Yeah, if I win, it's all about the people who voted for me, not you guys.
I haven't run any polling data, but I'm pretty certain I'm going to win, and you're fucked.
Yeah, you better vote for me. That's it.
Now, mom and dad worked for the Postal Service, and mom was a teacher.
Yeah.
Is there any overlap? Because I'm basing this all on Bukowski and his description of working for the Postal Service, which is
Right.
there was an
I
entrance
don't know
exam.
if my dad knew much about Bukowski.
We're going to
but-
find out
right,
here in
okay.
a second. But you had to pass a pretty challenging test to become an employee of the Postal Service, at least in the 50s, 60s, 70s. So it attracted these very smart people that also wanted to just stay kind of not ambitious, but really smart.
I think there's a germ of truth in it. In Britain, it was slightly different. My father was born in 1930, so he was a telegram delivery boy when he started out. They had these old British ex-army Royal Enfield bikes. And what they did was, my father, he had to go away to the army when he was 18 because it was national service. And when he came back, he did it again. And they all wanted to be like Marlon Brando in the movie The Wild One.
Yes.
But no one in Scotland could afford a silk scarf or a leather jacket.
Okay.
So they used to wear black postal delivery men jackets and white tea towels around their necks. They were all very thin because there was no food and everybody smoked and everything was in black and white. So they looked really cool. Scotland was in black and white until about 1974. Like the whole country.
I've been to Ireland, not been to Scotland. I've watched Braveheart. That's about the extent of my understanding.
Yeah, right.
But there's a very easy to detect vibe in Ireland. They're rascals in the best way. Like I remember a woman pulling me aside that was Irish saying, you just went on this museum tour. You know the difference between Americans and us is we would have jumped the wall to go look at the shit. And I was like, okay, perfect. What's the Scottish?
Not all of Scotland, but the Scotland that I grew up in had a very strong Irish component, but it was a component of it. Glasgow, the town that I grew up in, is a port city. And so there was a huge Italian community in Glasgow. There was a Chinese community in Glasgow. When I was growing up, the Pakistani and Indian community was getting bigger and bigger and making a huge improvement in what there was to eat. So it's a weirdly kind of diverse little place that I grew up.
Yeah, it sounds like Toronto.
Yeah, it's not dissimilar. It's not as clean.
Well, okay, nothing is.
Oh my God.
Those
Is it in
Canadians.
Toronto, everything's a condo. They're going to have to change it to condo or something. It's like, when I first went to Toronto, there was only one condo and Gordon Lightfoot was in it. And that was it. That was the only guy.
Singing the Edmonds Fitzgerald quietly.
The only condo in Toronto. That's
Well, the legend lives on of the condo in Toronto. And the big lake they call Gitchagumi.
But a lot of Scottish people live in Canada as well.
It's got a juicy chip on their shoulder, I'd imagine, right?
God, yeah.
Yeah. It's the tall poppy thing.
I think that's everywhere now.
Well, but we already talked about it. So where I'm from, everyone feels a little less than. It's half of society to blame, and then it's half their own condition, which is they're looking for it.
I think that's right. And I think for a long time, I don't know about you, but I think a lot of being an alcoholic was that if you treat me normal, that I feel less than. If you just say, oh, yeah, it's over
Right.
there, then I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
But if it's like, it's over there, sir, may I get you a carafe of wine? I'm like, yes, now that's a little more fucking like it.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of chip I've had on my shoulder for, I don't know where that came in. And I don't know how it triggers into alcoholism in my case, but it's a component of it for sure.
For me, dyslexic, broken home, violence, molested, all these things.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Feeling less than all
It's a
the
good
time.
trifecta.
And a little bit of salt.
But the alcohol, when drunk, I was very optimistic. That's how the medicine worked for me. I was optimistic while drunk that things were going to work out in my favor. And
I
that
think
was a
you'd have
nice...
to be, or you wouldn't keep drinking.
Yes. And then all of a sudden, one day, you're like at a bar and you realize I'm bored and I'm drunk and I feel less than and I'm pessimistic. We're using everything at our disposal, cocaine.
Yeah, nothing's working.
Oh,
this
my
is this
God.
thing that was rumored to
National
happen.
alert.
Oh, what's
This-
happening?
Yes. Oh, God, because you're
Oh my
not
God,
here in the
stop.
States. This has
Right.
been...
Jesus.
Oh, you'll love this.
What is this for?
I'm going to tell you, and you're going to love what the conspiracy theories are saying.
Oh.
That this is activating a component of the corona vaccination that now our bodies are... Have you guys heard this?
No.
This is
I
incredible.
love this. This is-
It's
I
incredible.
love
It's
this.
as far out as it gets.
Yeah.
We have had a warning for a week that the National Alert Service was going to blast everyone's phone at this time. In the whole nation. This just happened to everyone in the nation.
How communal. I love that.
Do you know what I think's interesting though? Well, I'm not telling you guys how to live your life, but when we started recording, I turned my fucking phone off.
Oh, yeah, no, we can't.
Yeah.
Two little kids, right? You know, who knows?
I've got kids.
You can't
too.
respond to them
No,
from...
there's nothing I can do. They're in Scotland. I'm like, oh, well,
Exactly. You've exceeded the perimeter of where you could help.
Their mom will take care of it.
We would have
Sorry.
missed out on this unifying moment. I'm really glad we
don't
had
know,
our phones on.
But you probably have now a British or UK
Bless
service.
you know.
You still have an American phone?
Yeah, and I have an apartment in New York City. I love this fucking idea that I live in a croft in Scotland.
When I knew you, you lived across the street.
Yeah, I live just down the street from here.
Right. So it's my understanding that you have left there.
Right.
You have a castle in Scotland,
I have a
recall?
house in Scotland.
Okay, is it shaped like a castle?
It's a castle shape.
Is it an inordinately large piece of
It was
land?
built in the 1300s. It doesn't mean it's a castle.
Here's our residual shit. We know if we admit to living in a castle, we're one of them.
Yeah, exactly.
So you live in a
I
castle.
live in a house. I live in an old house that's got a few castellated edges for
Okay, and if someone
decoration.
pulled up in horse and carriage, would it look very natural?
Yeah, it would. Yeah. In fact, if someone pulled up from the Roman Empire, yeah,
okay, wait.
William
so what?
Wallace rolled through.
You left that hanging.
Oh, so there's been this growing conspiracy theory that this alarm that just went out, which is going out over 5G, which, you know, there was already conspiracies
Right,
about 5G,
yeah.
was going to activate some dormant agent inside of the corona vaccination that would mirror Ebola. So basically, from what just happened, I don't know how quick Ebola works, but
my
I think it's
God.
quickly. I think within the next 3 days,
we're all going to share ourselves.
we'll be eating each other.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, not you, because you turned your phone off. Good
yeah, and
job.
also I have a pair of underpants in my bag.
In case.
So in case the 5G activates my COVID vaccine, I ship myself, voila, clean pants.
Look.
Take that, Bill Gates. Fuck you.
You'll be the only zombie with fresh shorts on.
How you doing, everybody? I like zombies. I always think if zombies could river dance, they would. Do you know what I mean? They would river dance.
Because they're very stiff.
Yeah. The afterlife is the Irish, I think. Do you believe in the afterlife? Do you believe in the
I don't.
continuation of consciousness?
I wish I did. I'm open to having that revelation. Spirituality for me is very, very hard to hook into. I meditate. That's helpful. I like how that feels, right? We do that.
Yeah.
The only foothold I have is my children. There's something bizarre.
That's love, of course.
It's love, but also something feels celestial. There's something to me that just is beyond my understanding of love.
You admit, and I admit too, of being pathologically selfish. And then
Yes.
someone exists who you care more about than yourself. That's a
Impossible.
transcendental experience. I have this theory, I was talking to someone about this recently, that most philosophers, now not all of them, but most of them didn't have any kids.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, it's not an absolute. Bertrand Russell had like 25.
They either at none or 100.
See, I think at 25 kids, you probably don't. You're like, oh yeah, there's another one.
There's
Do you know
no
what I mean?
way. I can't keep that many names straight.
Right. Most philosophers, now, again, it's not an absolute. It's like percentage-wise enough to get you to COVID vaccine level. Do you know what I mean? It's efficacy.
Yes.
It's efficacy
Yes.
as a theory.
Someone told me long before I had them that it does cure all your existential crises. And I agree with that.
Yeah, it gives you a whole new bunch of things to be terrified of.
Can I tell you something, though? I don't have that. I've had so much pessimism and fear about so many things my entire life. I'd
Right.
say it's my modus operandi. But from the second we said, let's try to have kids, I was like, this is going to go great. And when we go to those tests where they scan the baby and
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, this is going to work out perfect. And when they arrived, I was like, we're going to take this home, everything. Like, this is the only thing in my life that I just feel total belief in.
That's great. I meant more about the idea that anything bad would happen to my
Right.
kids.
Shockingly, I have no fear of that. I think they're just going to thrive. They'll have setbacks and they'll have challenges, but I believe in their spirit that if they're addicts, they're going to find sobriety.
You mean more that they would get like hit by a car or something?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that-
like
that kind of thing.
outside of their
Or get a
personalities.
Ebola virus activated by a
so
cell phone.
their phone goes off. and that's why I won't let my kids have a phone, which
Yeah.
is bad for my oldest boy. He's
Ebola.
22. I'm like, no, you can't have a phone.
He is
He's like,
still a virgin.
Yeah, I don't even want to think about that. But he's
It's
not.
okay.
yeah.
It's okay if he is.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. If you would like to have sex, a phone's very helpful in that
Well,
pursuit.
that's
See,
true.
I'm very glad that I missed all of that.
It would have taken out probably both of you.
Yeah, there was a big hard video record of you and I
Oh.
on day 3 of a bender
Whoa.
chatting with someone about philosophy.
No, it's not good.
No.
I really feel for the young and everything documented because it's a voluntary admission to 1984. It's like we walked right into it by our own volition.
We stand in line to get the new version.
Yeah, oh yeah, let's film everything and ruin it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I know.
I remember once having do you remember Regis Philbin?
Oh, yeah. Kathy
Gorgeous.
Lee and Regis.
Rickles was saying he had a conversation with Regis. They were having a laugh. And Regis said, no, we can't wait for this. We're doing the show tomorrow, so let's talk about it then. He wouldn't talk about it. And I remember laughing at it at the time, but everybody does that now.
Yes, we'll get to this, but like the endless inferno that is a talk show, right? And once you step into that, every little bit, because you're out, you're just wringing yourself out every show.
Yeah.
And you're trying to gather stuff and you know better than to waste something. And now people are that way because they too have to fill
Everybody
this
has
endless
a talk
void.
show. Everybody has a talk show.
Yes.
Everybody is doing a daily show.
If you haven't posted in 2 days, you're like, oh my God.
People are going to forget about me. And they will forget about you. That's the thing.
They're right.
It's funny. I think the talk show thing is fascinating, particularly because I did it in America. So I didn't grow up with the talk show tradition. I mean, no disrespect to people who do it, but to me, it was like being a realtor. It's not a bad job, but no one sets out to be a fucking realtor. If, if things are going along, you think, well, there's always realtor. And you go, you know what? It's not a bad job. Get your face
get
on,
your
a,
hands
on a
dirty.
bench at a bus stop, maybe, or, and you make a little money.
Sleep with some other realtors at the convention.
Maybe,
things go right.
That's right. It wasn't something that I ran at to be. I annoyed some of my colleagues because I had that attitude to it. I didn't mean it disrespectfully. It just never occurred
But
to me.
I would argue it's actually what set you up to do what you ended up doing, which was a pretty novel version of it.
Yeah, it was the only version I could do because I tried the other version. I can remember, honestly, in the first week or so when I was doing the late night show, coming on and adjusting my tie and saying, did you guys watch the playoffs? And I swear to God, I didn't even fucking know what I was talking about. I didn't know what a playoff was. I was like, what is a playoff? The writers are like, yeah, you just do this thing about the playoffs. I'm like, yeah, all
Did
right.
you guys watch the playoffs?
Did you guys see the playoffs?
What if you just went, can you explain that to me?
I had to. I mean, really, the writers are no use. And at the very beginning, because I was so terrified, I thought, I'm going to get shit canned after a week of this. So I just did whatever they told me.
Yeah, I heard you talking about the fact that you had done 2 little trial episodes
Yeah.
and you
not forced, but you signed a 6-year contract because there was no stakes. You weren't going to get this. There's no way you were going
I
to.
was going to get it.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you're in a 6-year.
6-year deal. Yeah, I won't make that mistake again. There is always the slight chance that you will get the job.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful. It's not that I disliked it. I liked it.
I bet the frustrating thing is, unlike a realtor, there are millions of people who are aspiring to be Johnny Carson or Letterman or Kimmel or anybody, right? So to see someone end up fulfilling their dream who could take it or leave it is the issue for them.
I think that's right.
And that's fair.
Yeah, and so I tried to be cognizant and respectful of that.
But I feel like you found a way to do it that was ultimately incredibly true to you and then really novel. We're here, so I'll tell you. I mean, there's two things. Status-wise, Letterman for me, like, he's my god, right? So to be on that
He's
show,
the gold standard, I think. That's right.
it's unreal. That's the high watermark for me to have been on that show. But I will say, second to that, back in the day, I would always say, well, my favorite show to go on is Craig's for sure, because it's the only show where you'll go and you'll never get to the pre-interviewed stories that have been prepared.
That's right. Yeah.
And if you're the type of performer that I am, and you are, I live for
Kristen
that.
is as well. And she
We're
was very
earmarking that because I got a whole
Right.
chapter about her.
Well, that's the interesting thing, because you and her and people who had improv motivations and felt comfortable in that environment, it was the show for them. But there were people who came on who I think they weren't as comfortable.
And rightly so. I'm sure a dramatic actor who has this one good story about their vacation, they can kind of work that out and get confident. But
Right.
for you and I to sit down and have some competition wakes me up, puts my brain in a space that it doesn't normally get to without that. It certainly won't get there telling you a story.
Right. And the good thing about the competition, especially if you talk about how we grew up, we're in a competition which is fun and exciting, but will very rarely result in any one of us getting hurt.
Yeah, no one's going to the doctor
No one's going to go,
afterwards.
right, that's fucking out. Fuck you.
yeah.
No one's throwing a headbutt on late night.
No one has to make an excuse of why they lost that fight.
Right. And it's kind of fun like that. And to be fair, and you mentioned Letterman, and I just want to give him props for this, because the only way that I existed on late night was because of an anomaly that David created, which was he owned the time slot. CBS were so keen to get him to go there after the late night wars in the 90s that they gave him 2 hours of real estate on CBS. It was his. So they didn't really control it. Now, the bad part of that was I never get any publicity. They fucking hated my guts. But the good part was Dave protected me. It was just like Dave's testicles stood between me and CBS. And Dave was too busy doing his own show, so he didn't really give a fuck what I was doing. And CBS didn't really give a fuck what I was doing.
Yeah.
So
And you were
ultimately,
doing well.
I didn't give a fuck what I was doing.
Did he pick you? How did it all
He
come
was
to
part
be?
of it. There was a group of people. It was Dave and Les Moonves, who ran CBS at the time. I don't know what happened to him. And
What'd you say? I don't know why.
I don't know what happened to him.
Who knows what happened to him?
Yeah.
And there was a gentleman who became my mentor and became the most important man in my life during that period professionally, was a guy by the name of Peter Lassalle. And Peter had been Johnny Carson's producer for 35 years.
No
wow.
way.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
wow.
Peter had produced Dave the first 5 years when he went to CBS.
In the 11:30 slot, yeah.
Right, in the
Okay.
11:30 after all that stuff. So he understood that world very well. And Dave holds Peter in very high regard. And Les didn't really.
He had bigger fish to fry.
I don't know what else he was up to, but it wasn't good.
Yeah, he's busy, I heard.
I think
But-
we do know.
Yeah,
but
I think I do know. And when Peter saw me do it, there was a bunch of different people tried out for it, and some of them were really good. It boiled down to Michael Ian Black, who was great at it, Damien Fahey, who was great at it, and D.L. Hughley, who was also great at it.
Yeah.
What happened though was that Peter said to me during that period when the four of us were kind of like in the AGT finals.
Battle Royale.
Right. Peter said, no, you're it. What Peter said was, I have one marketable skill, talking about himself.
Yeah.
It's finding people like you, and you're one.
I've maybe had that experience a couple times in my life where someone that you trust believes in you in a way that you don't believe in yourself, and how you can ride that.
It can change your life.
It can. It makes me get chills thinking I must remember to always offer that to people as often as I can.
Yeah.
Who I don't think realize how special they are.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Well, Monica, I was first in on Monica.
Kristen was first in.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, you kind of.
Well,
I
You
think
rode
I
her
suggested that
coattails
you
a
come
little.
work.
That's right, you did.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
did. You
It
did.
flip-flopped
You
a lot.
did.
Yeah, okay.
But it is true. You're not going to make any enemies telling people that you believe in them. For a long period of my life, I felt in competition with the universe, or usually it would be other Scottish people, I guess, or Scottish
really?
men. I wasn't really aware of it, but I'd be resentful if I saw somebody, like an actor I'd worked with in Glasgow, suddenly gets a good job. I'm like, that guy's an asshole.
Yeah.
He's not an asshole.
He doesn't hang his wardrobe
Yeah,
clothes
yeah.
up.
He doesn't carry pants
Well,
around.
if you're at the gas station and everyone's mad at each other, if that's the world you grow up in, of course that's what you're going to carry around, that everyone's a dick but
Is
you.
it? I think it's more like the Gore Vidal thing. It's not enough that I succeed, it's that my friends have to fail.
Oh,
You know,
interesting.
I also think, let's be fair, that if you grow up in limited resources, in scarcity, if someone gets something, it is actually true that you're not going to get something.
Yeah,
when
you're
you're in the
not gonna get it.
household and this is the food on the table, my
right.
older brother
Who got
takes
the
more.
potato?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's real.
Yeah.
And so, how are you going to snap out of that all of a sudden at 20 when really it has been zero sum? And then you see someone pop and you're like, well, that's probably the one Scottish person they're going to let be famous
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not right, but it's understandable.
It's no, I don't feel that way anymore, though.
I don't think these kids that grow up and go to Crossroads and they see their peers get famous, they're like, yeah, we're all going to get famous.
Yeah, I
like,
don't-
that's
Yeah.
what all of our parents are famous. And
Yeah, everybody's famous. I don't think they think about it the same way. But the younger generation, for all their faults, and they're certainly well documented, they are a bit better with that kind of stuff.
like rooting for each other.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're a bit kinder with each other.
It's a safer place to be vulnerable now.
The mistakes that I see is the same mistake that every generation makes, which you think, you know everything and you'll never get old. Every generation believes that. I know everything and I'll never get old. Let me tell you something. I fucking knew everything. And here I sit at 60 fucking one. And there's maybe a retirement community in Florida where I'm still young. But other than that,
Yeah.
I'm fucking old. It happens and you think it's not going to. And it will, or you'll die.
You're lucky if it will.
Right. It's a very, very strange experience. I mean, I find the aging process so bizarre.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
I just really didn't think much about it. And
That's right,
the
yeah.
depressing part isn't actually the aging, it's the accelerating of time. It feels like a double whammy. It's like not only are you getting older, but a year is now about 4 months long, and a week is about 2 days long. And that's getting worse and worse and worse.
Unless you do regular flights from London to Los Angeles, and
slow
then
down.
time really fucking slows down.
I have tricks. There are things. Novelty slows time down.
Sure. And interesting you talk about meditation because I do that. I feel like you step out of time when you meditate properly. It's shocking to me.
Yeah. Do you TM?
I don't know if it's TM.
Okay.
I don't have any formal kind of tuition in it, but I became interested in it through apps or yoga classes or bullshit just living in LA, and you pick it up, or being in recovery and prayer and meditation. And then I started to read about different forms of prayer and meditation. It boils down to a lot of things like semantics. There's a lot of talk about prayer where prayer is actually in the contemplative form, it really is meditation.
Well, let me just tell you too, I'm doing TM, but in my TM while doing the mantra, I do work in my first 3-step prayers and then the 10-step.
Have you ever read about, because I've become fascinated by these people, and I think as someone in recovery, I think you would be too, is the
Stoics?
the Stoics, yes, but the Desert Fathers.
No.
Between about 200 and 350 AD, there was a group of pre-Roman Christians that lived to the north of Cairo. St. Anthony, Origen of Alexandria, Vagrius of Pontus. Origen actually, I think, was a theologian and just lived in Alexandria. But they had ideas about prayer and meditation, which I don't think Roman Christianity pulled up on. And they don't think they took it in. Origen of Alexandria was a theologian who was excommunicated 500 years after he died because he said God can exist only in the mind. If you're selling tchotchkes, that's not what you want to fucking hear. You know?
Yeah.
So early Christianity fascinates me. So when you said that thing about religious, I am interested. I want to throw off the idea that religion is some kind of uncool thing. The religion that existed looking at early Christianity, for me, and look, it's all different. And my training, like everything else, is informal. My studies are informal.
Just to assuage your fears, you're not presenting as a professor.
Right, good. Yeah. I thought I was. But the idea that when Constantine took over Christianity, when it became the empire's religion, I think it's a little bit like there will be a point when Starbucks will open a store at Burning Man And that is the equivalent.
Yeah.
I think that Christianity for the first couple 100 years, the Romans were like, these people are atheists.
Yeah.
They only have one God.
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
They're denying.
And so what Rome did is they said, well, there is only one God, but then there's his mom.
And there's really three gods.
There's three,
too.
and then there's all the saints, the other ones that come
Lucifer,
in.
he's powerful.
Well, yeah, but he's bad. He's
Sure, but
naughty.
kind of a god.
He's naughty bad.
But also powerful like a god.
Oh, that was another thing that Origin got into trouble for, because he believed that in the final revelation, in the end of time, Lucifer could be forgiven as well. And they were very upset about that.
They shouldn't be. That would be the ultimate
Well,
happy
you
ending
see,
to the
you
story,
take it
right?
take it up with the Catholic Church in the Middle Ages, because they had some ideas that you would not agree with.
And so meditation in that tradition.
Well, I think it was Evagrius of Pontus, who was one of the Desert Fathers. It was about continuous, contemplative, meditative prayer. And they talk about allowing your mind to be silent, not in allowing your mind to go to imagery of God or even colors or thoughts. Every time you have a thought, this is what I try to do when it sounds very fanciful, but when you talk about meditation, it's going to sound like that. Whenever I have a thought when I'm trying to meditate, I just try and go, oh, well, there it is. And then just let it go away and then be back to nothing.
Yeah.
And then just back to my breath and back to my breath and just my breath. But when a thought comes in, this is what I struggled with at first was, well, I'm not doing it right.
Right.
And you go, of course you're doing it right. Well, of course you're going to think things. Your brain's on fire with things to think about. And those bastards and what about this? And I'm hungry.
This fucking Scottish actor is so goddamn famous.
Jerry fucking Butler, who's my friend. But the whole thing, just to allow yourself to have thoughts and just let them go by.
At least my understanding of the TM when it was taught to me was kind of that, which is like, yeah, you're going to have thoughts. That's fine. You can even deal with them for a second and just try to come back to the mantra. That's it.
That's
There's
the
no-
whole
there's
purpose
no
of
failure.
meditation. It's not to not have thoughts. It's to have them and then let them go.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't know that for a long time. And I thought it was something to do with yoga. And I think it might.
Yeah,
be
they're
something,
connected
you know,
somehow.
that somehow. I'm fascinated by all of it and I don't rule out any of it, which annoys people sometimes. Like I talk to my wife about more outre religions and I'm like, well, maybe it's, she's like, oh, shut up. These people are fucking crazy. And I'm like, all right, they might be. You know.
Yeah. Well, it's tricky, right? Because the practitioners of anything are crazy. There's some fucking wackos in AA. It's not like I would trust any certain one of us to go represent.
It is
what
a far from exclusive club.
Yes, it's the losers club. Yeah.
It's the last chance saloon. But the best description I heard of, I should, it's kind of breaking a tradition, but fuck it. The best description I heard of AA was somebody in a meeting who said, we are the elite of the mentally ill. I went, yeah, there you go. That's it.
Great.
Yeah.
What got you sober? Do you mind telling us?
A series of unfortunate events.
Ding, ding, ding. You starred in that, but go ahead.
Oh my God, good slipping.
Yeah.
Well, no, first of all,
Star was.
I'm in that movie for like 30 seconds.
I think that still counts as starring in.
You're right, it does. Thank you. In Hollywood terms, yes,
Sure.
of course. I was very proud to be part of the I actually, as an aside, one of the producers, I can't remember his name. He's like a really powerful producer guy, was on this movie. And I had just come from working on independent movies and I was doing this movie and they move like fucking molasses, these movies. They're so slow.
Especially that movie, right?
Oh my God. I was dressed in this very elaborate costume, standing at the craft service table, and this guy came over to me, this producer, and he said, are you enjoying working on a big movie like this? And I went, I'm not. I don't feel like I want to do this anymore. To his credit, he said, well, I think that can be arranged.
Good for him.
They are kind of boring.
Okay, so wait,
Oh,
listen.
sure.
I have two reactions to that because it's like kind of the third in the same vein, which is one is I believe you. Two is a little bit of a pattern to not want to be doing what you're doing.
Yeah, very restless.
And I wonder, is that self-defense? Like, I'm going to get kicked out of here, so I just plant some seeds that I didn't want to be here for when I
Yeah,
inevitably
you can't
get...
fire me, I quit. I'm terrified of disappointment. I think there's shame attached to not succeeding, which is absurd. It's one of the reasons why I actually fell in love with America for all its problems. America has something which is unfucking fathomable to me, which is they have a game called baseball. And if you can hit 1 in 10, you're a fucking Hall of Famer. Now, in life, that's a great fucking lesson to teach children.
Yeah.
1 in 10.
Or how about that you only got to hit one of the 5 pitches?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable. If you can get that shit in with the bricks, That stops you from, well, what's the point of even trying? I'm not blind to the issues that we have in the United States, but that's great. That should probably be in the Constitution, something about baseball.
There's some version of that too, I'll add, which is we have some things that are really, really admirable. One being our college system. At any point, you can go, I'm going to go to this community college. If I do great there, I'm going to get a shot at a university. I can do everything. That doesn't really exist, that pipeline in most places.
Right. What America has is fluidity connected with money, but at least it's fluidity. If you have a class system, it doesn't matter how much money you have, you ain't fucking going anywhere.
Yeah.
That is a problem. It's here too, but I don't feel like it's institutional in the same way.
I'm reading a very disheartening book called The Myth of Meritocracy. I think that's the title. It's about meritocracy.
I get it.
It's a bummer. I don't like reading it
I'm
at
like,
all.
this does not sound like James Patterson at all.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit like, oh, this thing I kind of believe and defend in, huh? Maybe it really is a class system. With the rare exception.
Look, nothing's perfect. I'm sure somebody could pick a hole in my baseball theory. In fact, by the time this thing goes out, I'm sure 100 fucking people on the whatever fucking shitty little fucking chat room is fucking de rigueur at the moment for the fucking illiterate, fucking opinionated. They'll let me know.
They'll let each other have it.
Yeah.
Wait, back to sobriety. We didn't finish. We
Oh my
left
God,
that
you're right.
hanging.
You are good at this.
We left it hanging. Series of unfortunate events.
Well, it's a cumulative. The first time I got drunk, I peed my pants and got arrested, like when I was 13.
Wow.
So there is evidence there. I didn't get arrested for peeing my pants. That's not illegal in Scotland. I threw a punch at a local
The
policeman.
whole country would be in jail.
Yeah. That'd be a bad look. Everyone over the age of 60 in Florida is under arrest. But what happened was there were signals all along the way. And looking back on it now, there were pivotal ones. But one that sticks to mind for me is I was in Australia once. My thing was mostly alcohol. I mean, I took drugs if they were there, but I'm not leaving an open bar to go and find drugs.
You saw cocaine as drinking vitamins.
It was a
I heard
vitamin,
say.
you know,
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
want to, like, it's like, yeah, I'll take it. What I used to say was, look, here's how I know I'm an alcoholic, not an addict, because when I'm in a bar and if I'm drinking and someone says, hey, do you want some cocaine? I'm like, fuck, yes, I do. They said, hey, I know a guy that's got some cocaine. If we go to his apartment, we can get some. I'm like, if he wants to sell me cocaine, he can come to the fucking bar. I'm not leaving a bar
Okay,
to go get
Right.
That's where we diverge.
That's the only fucking difference that I can see.
I'd cross the Sahara if I thought
Right.
a guy had an
I
ankle.
think that's fair. Look, that's just preference. That's
Yeah.
chicken or fish at that point.
Yeah, but again, drinking always starts with drinking.
Yeah. So one time I was in Australia and I was drinking pretty bad and I had the first real dose of the terrors, which unless you've had them, there's no way to explain them. Some people, when they take cannabis, sativa, get a similar type of psychosis. The reaction, I certainly do, and I can't do it. But it's kind of like the psychosis from bad marijuana or a bad reaction
Like
to marijuana.
paranoia?
Yeah, but it's worse. It's disassociation. It's fucking horrible. And I had it really bad. And if you're an alcoholic, you know instinctively the only way you're going to get rid of it is to drink.
Yeah.
And it was like 6 o'clock in the morning and I'd go out in the street. I was in a shitty part of Melbourne and I knew there was a bar that was open 24 hours. And I went to the bar, and because it's Australia and because it's hot, they drink these tiny little beers. They're called stubbies. It's like a tiny little
It's
shot
like flirting
glass.
with a beer.
Yeah. I said, like, set me up 20 stubbies in this bar.
Right.
And I was pounding these things. And eventually I get 10 stubbies in or something. Starting to be okay. Things are starting to calm down. And then I started talking to the barmaid, who was a really nice goth girl who was just working in the bar. And she said, geez, you're pretty alcoholic, aren't you, mate? I said, yeah, I might be. And she went, you really like to drink. I said, what makes you the expert? She went, well, look. And she said something which stuck with me forever. She said, I'm a barmaid in a shitty pub in Melbourne at 6 a.m. and I think you drink too much. I was like, fuck you.
Yeah. It's like Evel Knievel telling you you're too reckless on a motorcycle.
Like, calm down a little. But just events like that, ultimately it was, I was in a relationship with a woman who I really cared for and I kept letting her down. Like I'd say I'm going to the store and I'd come back 3 days later. And she eventually said, I love you, but I can't be around this. And I understood. See, that was the thing. I understood and I said, if I could have left me, I would have. And in fact, that's kind of what I was trying to do. I got sober not long after that. And then weirdly enough, we tried to get back together afterwards and it never worked.
Yeah.
You know,
That makes sense, though.
it was strange.
This is a hard question to answer because you'll have to acknowledge your own charm. But I'm sincere in this. I have watched other comedians wrestle with this, and I have recognized that
the battle can be a little harder for them because they do have this crazy antidote, which is you can be at the bottom of one of those 3-day troughs, go out on stage, still have that magic, get the love of everyone, and be able to walk off and go, it's not that bad. Or conversely, you're so charming that you can kind of keep some people around that normally would have gone away. I do think there's a little bit of an added hurdle when you can be the victim of your own charisma.
It's an interesting way to look at it. I mean, I love the idea of describing myself as a victim of my own charisma. And I'm fucking stealing that right now. That's beautiful.
Thank you. Let's co-author a book called The Victims of Our Own
Victims
Charisma.
of Our Own Charisma. With Dax Shepard.
Everyone pukes.
It's a vaudeville tour, buddy.
Everyone just starts throwing up as they see the title in the airport. Oh, these guys are so fucking full of themselves.
No, it's ironic, man. Come on.
I will write in parentheses,
Yeah.
it's ironic.
I think that there is some truth to that. What really it is, though, is you find people as sad as you are, and you kind of commiserate each other. They call it in recovery literature, you find lower companions, which I always thought was a little unfair. I was the lower companion, I think, for a lot of people.
I was the bar that was lower than my addict friends,
Right.
who prevented them from thinking they had a problem.
But you got sober when you were 29, which is interesting because I run into people who got sober 10 years later, 15 years later. Some of them getting sober now.
Oh, yeah, I have friends that got sober at 50.
I'm fucking glad I got hit when I got hit. I'm glad I got sober.
Oh, same.
Oh.
I have so much gratitude for having the version that was really untenable. I feel most bad for people who have a pretty tenable version of
Yeah.
it.
Well, they call it functioning alcoholism.
Yeah, but it's true. When you're just on the line of it, that could gobble up your whole life because you don't really ever have to fuck with it.
Well, that's what I think. When I see everybody smoking weed, I'm like, oh, aren't you so fucking clever? When people say it's just a plant, and I'm like, yeah, fucking opium is a plant, you dick.
Hops and barley are plants.
Yeah, I don't get it. It's a weird kind of, like, if you say anything remotely negative about cannabis right now, it's like, you're a fascist. I'm like, hold on a fucking minute. What is fair about, you can walk down the street. We've established that I spend a lot of time in New York City, right?
Yes.
So you can walk down the street in New York City. If you have a can of malt liquor, you have to disguise that in a brown paper bag.
Yeah.
You can walk down the street smoking a fucking blunt, and everybody.
But isn't the joint itself a brown paper bag?
Well, but
Just to be fair.
it is a brown paper, but it's on fire,
Yes.
and everybody within half a city block fucking inhales it. I just think it should be fairer to my people. Should be allowed to walk down the street drinking. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't mind the weed thing. I think it's great. I think everyone that can do it, and when I see a guy on the street with the brown paper bag, I'm like, God bless, man. I wish I could still do that.
I just don't think he should have to have a brown paper bag. I
Well,
think
that's fair too. Yeah.
Like,
I
enjoy
agree.
it. It's almost like there should be stores that sell liquor. Oh, wait.
Oh, one thing to the friends though. Have you noticed this? I wouldn't say like my friendships were with lesser or higher caliber people.
No.
What I have noticed is the most quintessential ingredient for the friendships back then was loyalty. And that's no longer the case for me in sobriety. Because when I was a fuck up, the most important thing to me was you would not judge me and that we would be friends throughout whatever. Because we're both going to disappoint each other and we're both going to fuck up. We're going to crash each other's shit. We're going to try to hit on each other's girlfriends. But we're going to be loyal. It's very interesting, especially where I'm from as well. That would have always been like top of my list of what I would say I want in a friend. And now over the course of the last 20 years, loyalty is not that important to me. Like, I don't need you to be loyal to me.
I understand what you're saying back in the day. We're all going to fuck up, so let's not judge each other. I think now I don't want any more friends. I'm too old.
Okay, so it's your post-friendship period. Yeah, that's fair.
I'm sure you're a very nice person. Go fuck yourself. I have less in the way of expectations about your behavior. It's not really your behavior that's the problem. It's mine that's the problem. That's the thing that I can take care of. So I can take care of my behavior. I can't really do anything about yours. Other than if I don't like it, I can remove myself from it. That's about it.
Can we talk about one thing before we launch into about joy? The musicianship. I think this is what I've discovered about you today that I didn't know about you in the past.
Right.
Was the history as a drummer as a kid and being in a bunch of punk bands. We just had Fred Armisen on.
All right, yeah.
And he and I
yeah.
were kind of geeking out about, because he and I traveled in the same punk rock scene all through the 90s. And I was saying, when I really think back, those were the funniest group of people I knew. If I was evaluating like my high school, it was all the kids that were in bands that were just naturally kind of hams and performers. And it does seem there's this really natural marriage.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny how many... Carson was a drummer. When I was coming up, I was born in 1962, so punk hit 75, 76. So I'm like early teens.
What would we say is the first band? Crass?
No, the first punk single I remember hearing was The Damned. Neat, neat, neat. But Iggy was there before that. And then there was television. It's all connected.
Here she is.
Who?
We have a friend.
Oh,
Will you bring that on
hello. Hello. Hang on, I'll just have to go. How lovely to see you.
So nice.
Your husband is so handsome.
I know.
I know. He's looking
Said
so
the pot
handsome.
to the kettle.
Here, let me take- Did you know, by the way, I was just telling those guys, that, and I've done this for years, that I carry a pair of boxer shorts around in my bag in case I shit myself?
How at home could he be?
Very, what's the word for it? Not
Responsible?
Yeah, responsible. Yes.
Admirable,
That's right.
responsible.
Admirable, maybe. Cautious.
I'm not trying to pretend it might not happen, but
It
what
might.
you're saying is if it does.
If it does, I'm ready.
That's right.
Yeah.
Acceptance mode. We'd call that acceptance
That's right.
mode.
To accept the things I cannot
That's
change.
right.
And be prepared for the things.
Courage to change.
Yeah, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So
You should
what
call those
these are-
panties your
this
wisdom
is wisdom. This is what this is.
Dax had an obsession with a pair of underwear that he called men's unmentionables for years. They could only come from Sears. And
Covington's. It's the only place I could find my boxers.
I like
the real entry
I'm
level
very like this.
boxers.
I
yeah.
fixate on this kind of thing all the time.
But then when we couldn't find them anymore, he begrudgingly switched to MeUndies, and now
Well-
he loves them. But they're snug.
What happened was I was in a movie where I had to wear them.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, support isn't terrible either.
No, and
my
it was-
testicles have been getting longer and longer and
Oh
longer.
yeah. And also the separation between the big guy and the little guy gets worse.
Yes. I don't want my penis to be wearing a cape that's much longer than
Right,
it.
exactly. It's kind of like the moon is getting further away from the earth.
The moons.
It happens.
Yes.
And so when you can gather it all up, bringing in the sheaves, as it were.
So I had asked Kristen if she would stop by, and here's why. In all my years of watching late night talk shows, which I'm a student of, I've always been obsessed. Unlike you, I dreamt of being Letterman, right? I have to say, of any relationship between talk show hosts and guests that I've ever seen, I would put you two on the very top of that list for the best chemistry of all time.
I totally agree.
I'm so glad to hear you
Totally
say
agree.
that. You did the show for 10 years. Can
Yep.
you think of anyone that
No,
you...
and I'll tell you this as well. The best piece of television I've done in my life is a 13-minute improvisation that you and I did in Marie Antoinette's bedroom in the Palace of Versailles. When I was leaving late night, they had a thing for me at the television, the place in Beverly Hills, you know, where they... you know,
the motion picture.
Hall
yeah,
of Fame or
that
whatever.
thing. Yeah, whatever. I swear, Larry King used to come along and people would, you know, anyway. But they showed that. I'd never seen it because we did it and then like, you just fucking move on, you do the next thing. And I watched that and went, that is fucking genius. I remember at the start of it, we were setting up a piece of improv and we set it up so that the audience knows it. And I said, okay, now you're going to be Marie Antoinette and I'm going to be your lover and I'm going to walk in and don't make it dirty. That's what I said to you. I said, don't make it
You
dirty.
often said that.
Yeah, and as I walked, so I walked in and I stood behind Kristen and she said, I like it when you come in my back door. And I said, right there! Right there! You're right. I don't know what it is.
Well, I do. People have magic.
That's what I mean. I don't know what it is.
Oh, right,
It is
right.
a certain thing that happens. I'm sure you have it with other people. I had it a little bit with Josh, who did the robot on the show.
Simpatico.
It was crazy. And the thing is, we never hung out. We never really hung out.
Well, you guys went to fucking Europe together. That's kind of a
Yeah,
good
but I
hang.
hung out with your wife more than I hung out with
You know, with
you.
Megan. I mean, it's like we're not hanging out.
Yeah.
Are you jealous a little bit?
No, I wouldn't
Because
bring
I
her
think
up.
I would be a little bit, but there would be no reason to be.
Would you? Do you get jealous? I don't believe that.
Maybe a little bit sometimes. It's
You do?
more, yeah. Sometimes if men make Megan laugh, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
Okay. Okay.
You know, it's like, you make
I'm
my
not-
wife laugh. What the fuck?
I have a ton of character defects. This happens to be the one I was spared. I
God bless you.
loved watching you two. What a thing to witness. The chemistry. I loved it for both of you.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think
I-
you're going to run off together. And I'm delighted you guys can both play. And you're like star-crossed lovers. This doesn't happen. Did you ever tell one fucking story that was pre-planned, hon?
No, because every time I went out, I would meticulously plan it because that's what I like and I feel safest. And then I'd walk out and inevitably you would look at me, you would rip up the cards in front of you and throw them over your shoulder. And we would begin. And it was like jumping into ice cold water where you just had to get it over with. But I went into a different zone. But if I had to identify the word that encapsulates the magic for me, specifically with you, it was willingness. We both had a willingness to say, this is not the most important thing in the world to be doing, but this is not unfun. Let's go in at 110 and see what we can get. And then things come out of it, like going to Paris, or, you know, when we sat around the fire and I was pregnant and you had a big vat of peanut butter for me to eat. Or when the other day we were talking about magic with the girls and Lincoln was saying, how do they saw people in half? My memory's so bad. I was like, let me think about how do they? So, oh my God, I've been sawed in half. I can show you.
Yeah.
And I pulled it up and I showed it.
Did I
to
saw
her.
you in half or did the magician saw
You
you in?
did.
I did.
Yes.
I wouldn't trust me to do that
It
now.
was
I
a
think I forgot.
jagged edge.
It's an odd thing because it is a very unusual human relationship.
By the way, I think it's okay that the magic is, in reality, if I had to say of anyone that Kristen's ever had a crush on, who I thought she could actually be in a relationship with for 30 years, I think you're the person. I think you and I are very similar.
I think that's true.
And I think it's totally
You're
fine.
much more in shape.
I've got the age advantage.
Yeah,
on
you have. What age are you?
48.
Oh, man, you got 12 years on me, 13 years
Right,
on
so
me.
I should be in better shape than
Yeah,
you.
and
Yeah.
listen, let me tell you, 13 years from now, you're going to look like shit. You're going to look like this.
For sure. But I think it's okay that the chemistry and the excitement is you guys find each other attractive, and that's totally fine to explore on television in front of an audience and then leave it there. Is that scary for you to acknowledge?
Feels a bit like we're swinging, but no, I don't think it's as simple as attraction.
Let me back up. As you and I admitted, you brought up the best of me when I was on your show because there's a little bit of competition. I also do great when there's a female guest that I think, oh yeah, I find this person pretty intoxicating.
Yes.
Another part of my brain wakes up. An avenue that's generally offline all of a sudden comes online.
I get that with men too, though.
Oh, me too. Me too. I'll get kind of smitten with a man.
Yeah, I can do that.
Attraction in its pure sense, not necessarily
Not like
sexual
lascivious.
attraction.
Right, okay, yeah. I see
Craig,
what-
don't make it dirty. For God's sake.
I like it when you come in my back door. But I think that it's quite interesting because it is a performance attraction.
Yes.
It's a weird kind of a thing. And I think when they talk about chemistry in movies and stuff like that, everybody's looking for it.
And have you seen Out of Sight, the George Clooney,
Oh,
J-Lo?
yeah.
Some of the most sizzling fucking chemistry of all time. And the rumor is they hated each other's guts.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, what is that thing that happened? It's not like mutual respect. It's just there was some magic between them.
But I think that's good. Magic is the right word. It's magic. I don't know what it is.
I loved it. And let me also say that we have used you over the years, now 16 years, where Kristen will be about to go on to some kind of show. And I will regularly go, just trust that when you turn yourself over to someone like you or like Kimmel, you know how to do it. You know how to react immediately. Now, Kristen's across the board a great talk show guest.
I agree.
On any show. Yours was Apex, I think, just because of that chemistry. But we've used you as like, remember.
Because prior to every appearance, I go through a really cool cycle in my head of just going, I shouldn't be here. You don't deserve this. Why are you doing this? Stay in bed.
That's wrapped inside the ability to work together the way we do because I don't want you to feel that way. I like you and we're going to have fun.
And after the first time, I trusted you, though. Like, I trusted you more than any show I've ever been on, knowing
And
that
you
it
were
would
on
be
once
okay.
a month about.
Yeah.
No?
You went on all the time.
It was kind of, I got to be honest, when they said, who do you think should take over? I went, well, obviously it's Kristen. She'll never do it, but she really kind of should. Yeah. There's something in that. Because if you don't like someone and there's chemistry, maybe if you're acting that would work, but you're not really acting. If you're dicking around in a talk show, I don't know, though, if I ever felt with a guest, this fucking asshole. Because usually people were on their best behavior or wanted it to work. I guess it's there nearly all the time, but when you can access maybe vulnerability in someone, it makes you want to go a little bit further to help them. I think that's what it is.
We're using the word attraction and it's not specific enough. Like there needs to be another Latin derivative or something that we can use that's your protection. And I was very attracted to like your soul because I really felt like you could protect me and actually uplift this whole segment we were doing, and that we would create something entertaining, which is the very best feeling on earth when you know that someone might be watching it and giggling.
Yeah, because I honestly came at it from a different angle in the sense that I had no real
Aspirations.
Well, I got those pretty quickly. I was like, oh, this is actually fun and I want to keep doing it. But I think what it was is I had no training. So I wanted to be okay. And I think early on, when people come on, you think, I know that if you have a good time on the show, you'll tell Dax that I had a good time on the show. And Dax comes on and he does the show. And then you tell, I don't know, Robert Downey Jr. that I had a good time on the show. And you know, word gets out. The same way as it gets out if you're a shit. Because there's shows that I'm like, I don't need to do your show.
Sure.
And I've never met the person. I'm just like basing it on hearsay. And I'm not saying any names or anything because I can't think of any offhand. But I'm sure I've done it.
Yeah, but the list is long.
Yo, it's everybody but you two. That's it.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
But it was so fun over the years. I was sad when you retired because I loved doing your show quite a bit. It was so much fun. A lot of shows, it's not homework, but it's looming. It never felt looming when either of us were booked on your show.
I feel it's more that way now. I don't know that the show that I was doing could exist. Not because of any particular content, because there wasn't really anything that anyone was going to get mad. I'm sure there's jokes that you could pick out that were horrible, but I think it's more about there's a threat, there's a consequence to conversations which are unguarded now, which was much less so then. Yeah. So you could be unguarded. And I totally understand because I feel in that position too, particularly if you're in a publicity style interview, like a microphone in your face at a thing. Yeah, I've got to be careful.
Yeah, well, because
slightest fucking word.
You know what they're fishing for. They're fishing for something provocative that will give them some clicks.
I think it's probably easing a little bit now.
I think the comedians of today are leading us out of it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But anyway, I didn't finish. So when you were retiring, I had my own selfish, like, oh, shit, I like going there to sell whatever project I have. But truly, I was sad for Kristen. I was like, that's the most fun she has on TV, and I have so much fun watching her do it. And I'm very sad I won't get to see that again.
Well, here we are on your couch.
Yes, that's why I brought her in.
Yeah.
Should we bring Jeff in, the robot?
They never really
We
got
do not get along.
Yeah,
We have a robot on this show.
That's true.
You do?
We could bring him in.
I'm replacing Jeff. I think I like Kristen Bell more than him.
He only talks in that cadence. He can only sing. And it's hard because I've got to improv.
Is this a new robot?
The robot's been along
It's a
for
runner.
a while.
Right.
He wants to be a real boy.
Oh, right.
It's
Unlike
actually
Jeff.
a really
Jeff was-
sad story.
Jeff
Yeah.
was a prick, as I recall.
Oh, please. He was awesome. How dare you? See, you've been listening to Kristen. They didn't get along. And it's the opposite of the chemistry that Kristen and we did get along. And she and Jeff did not get along.
No.
Josh, who was, of course, Jeff, adores
Of
Kristen.
course.
But as Jeff, he really loved the idea of really fucking
It was
nailing her.
so much fun.
Oh
Such
my
a good
God.
bit.
He's a fucking genius, that guy. I mean,
Yeah.
oh my
I barely remember any. I have such a terrible memory. And when I went back and watched When You Sawed Me in Half, I was like, I don't particularly like watching myself, but I want to go back and re-watch them because I don't remember much. The only thing I remember about that Marie Antoinette bedroom day was that they said, don't touch anything and don't sit on the bed. And like one of the first things we did was sit on
We
the
touched
bed.
everything and sat on the bed.
And sat on the bed because we were using the space.
Yeah. It was our own little revolution.
We took our shoes off and slid in our socks all over
Palace of
Versailles.
Versailles,
Yep.
yep.
Did some planking
Yep.
because that I think was big at the time, and I convinced you to lay down on some stuff.
Yeah. On the floor where the Treaty of Versailles was actually done. Yeah.
Oh my God, the
Yeah.
start of everything.
Yeah.
Just lay there so I can take a picture.
Wait, no. The Treaty of Versailles was signed in a railroad car that was then put in a museum, and Hitler took it out of the museum, put it back on the tracks in the same place, and made them sign their surrender.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant to
That's
say.
what- that's
Yeah,
what-
no, I mean,
That sounds like something that Jeff would do.
you know what? I think your husband may have reached his History Channel years. I saw a comedian, I can't remember who it was. I thought it was a great piece. I would credit him if I could remember it, but he was talking about how when guys are really into history,
It's Shane Gillis.
Oh, is it Shane Gillis? Early onset Republicanism?
Yes.
He said it's like a werewolf
my
growing inside you.
If you're
That's
really
a
into
great
history.
fucking bet.
It is. If you're in your 20s and you like history, it's coming. It's coming. You're going to
It's
be
so true as well. Is that thing on TikTok about how often do guys think about the Roman Empire?
yeah.
How often do you think about the Roman Empire?
Oh my God, I've been now asked this several times. It would be unfair for me to say because I don't keep track of it. But I
Right.
definitely, especially like if I'm in England, I will go, I can't believe those guys got roads all the way up here. In 300 AD, like with no machines. I do think about it.
Yeah. I've got a Roman fort right outside my old house. The fort isn't there, but where it was
Outside of
there.
your castle?
It's not a castle. It's not a castle. It looks like a castle. It's in Scotland. There's some land around it. There's a moat. There's some battlements. But it's not a castle.
Is it hard to get internet and shit in a castle?
Yeah, it's fucking terrible.
I
The
bet.
walls are 16 foot thick.
Right, like
Yeah,
how do
in
you
certain
run
places.
fucking cables
You
anywhere?
go outside and hold your phone up like it's the 1990s. It's cool.
They have a fantasy of living in a castle, and it's not real.
Yeah, it's funny. You know that Outlander show?
Sexy
it's kind of a
show.
It's a sexy show about guys who are all really in great shape,
Yeah.
walking around wearing kilts.
Oh, I love it.
But honestly, Scotland has maybe a guy that looks like that. And my wife was talking about it, and Megan was saying, I don't get this whole thing about the fetishization of Scottish men. I'm like, you literally live in a castle with a fucking Scotsman. How dare you?
If anyone should understand.
Yeah. But I guess it's not a fetish anymore if you're married.
Yeah, it gets normal very quickly.
Yeah, I know.
Are you going to have Kristen on About Joy? About Joy is your new podcast. About Joy, a podcast with Craig Ferguson. I listened this morning to Gabriel Iglesias.
Yeah. You know him?
I didn't know him. But by the way, I think that's a testament to your program is that I didn't know him at all. And I found myself incredibly interested. And he's doing something so outside of what I ever did in comedy.
He's like playing stadiums and stuff.
Playing
It's
stadiums,
crazy,
yeah. But it's long form. And I'm curious because part of what drove me to want to do a podcast was I've been on late night talk shows 100 times. I got onto some podcasts as a guest and I was like, oh, this is nice.
I like doing what we're doing right now. I like talking to people.
And not having to do it in 8-minute chunks and have
Yeah.
everything to land, be brilliant for all 8 minutes.
Well, certainly I can do that. And also, it's relaxing. I find it kind of meditative. But you and I have this very Socratic way of dealing with our pathology in that we talk about it to get better. So I imagine that would attract you to it. It's certainly me. And the reason why I chose Joy as the name of it is just, it's not because it's tell me your 10 favorite things. I want to focus on something which is ultimately positive, but not have really a format, pretty much what you're doing here. And it's not like, okay, Craig, it's time for the 10 questions and all that. I don't want to do
You're
that.
on a boat. You can only bring 3 items.
Yeah, that kind of BuzzFeed bullshit. I don't want any of that.
But it did seem that you're interviewing a lot of comedians.
It's who I know.
So when's Belle going on? Have you already asked her?
Yeah.
Just
Haven't I
now.
asked you?
I think so.
Yeah, I think
I think
asked
it's
you.
like in
Yeah.
the process of being scheduled.
Oh, okay.
I just don't really have anything to talk about right now, but I'll still come on even if I have nothing to talk about.
yeah.
That's
I
your
thought,
thing. That's what you do.
That's when it's best.
Oh my God, leave her alone. She'll do what she
Do
wants to do.
it!
Oh my-
Thank you, Craig.
Yeah, it's
Thank
all right.
you,
Chris.
Jesus.
You need to have someone around you a little more nurturing. This is like Scuba's mom.
Get up there, little show pony. You haven't been on the airwaves in over 6 months.
You disappoint me. But I mean, I had a guest on a couple of weeks ago, a guy called William Villanova, who still is the biggest undertaker in New York City.
How do you quantify biggest? He buries the most
But
amount of
he's
people?
he's
or-
like the Coca-Cola. He's the guy you go to.
He's buried what, like 8 guys in one day?
No,
or-
he can do anything for you. He can do the Viking. I mean, it's a big funeral director, but it's like a college degree to be an undertaker. I didn't know.
No, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, it's like you have to do mortuary sciences for like 4 years. and-
Really?
Yeah, it's a fascinating whole world. It's like a cross between a doctor and a priest. It's weird.
I want to look up how many there are in the nation that it would support a whole curriculum in school.
He's funny, though. He's like a funny, big Irish, Catholic, American, New York guy. He's
Yeah.
friendly. He's got a sense of humor. He's clever. I was hoping for someone thin, and it's not that he's overweight, but someone who's very thin, kind of goth looking, like
Skeletal.
your time is coming.
The Tim Burton version of what
Yeah.
an Undertaker should
But
be.
he wasn't. I was wanting Jack Skellington, and he wasn't Jack Skellington. He turned up, he went, sorry, I'm early. No one wants to see me early. Am I right?
Oh, sure,
I'm
he's
like,
got a bunch of goats.
oh, my God.
That's
Like,
great.
How on earth did that come across your desk?
Because I wanted to talk to people who weren't comedians. Tomas, who's producing it, we talked about getting people on who weren't. And there have been other guests, and there will be over time, you know. I mean, it's just that you get people you know first.
And you're in Scotland?
I record them here. I'm going to make a bunch this week, and you know what? You should do it this week.
Wait. How long are you
You
in
should
LA?
both do it this week.
I think I can do it this week.
If you would do it, that would be great.
I
but
think I can.
I don't want to feel like, I feel like, you know, you should be able to say, I don't know, I mean, I'm with the kids a bit this week, and
No, I would love a break from the kids.
All right, fine.
To be honest.
They also go to school, Craig.
you guys are so fucking traditional. Well, yeah. Give them a bow and arrow, send them out in the woods, find some Roman stuff.
Loincloths.
My oldest boy is now 13, and he's gone to a boarding school
In what country?
in the UK. I don't want to say which one it is.
It's Hogwarts. People.
It's Hogwarts.
It is Hogwarts.
It kind of
right?
is, actually. But he wanted to go.
Oh, he wanted to go.
I didn't send him to school like, that's it, you disappointed me, son.
Listen, I don't want to alienate any of my English listeners, but I have noticed some traditions that are confusing to me from where I grew up. It wouldn't blow my mind if you sent him and that's what everyone does.
No, Megan went to a boarding school and she loved it.
She's from Vermont or something?
Yeah, she's from New Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
Yeah. And she went to a boarding school when she was a teenager and loved it. And he wanted to go and try it and he loves it. And I'm like, the fuck's my dude?
Yeah, you miss him?
Yeah, it's awful. Yeah.
Do you remember the Dangerfield movie, Back to School?
Oh, God, it's been a while. I think I've seen it.
He does the triple Lindy in it. He goes to college with his son. He had never
Oh,
gone.
yeah.
And he puts a hot tub in the dorm room and he throws great parties.
Here's what I'm doing.
Yeah, the kid's a nerd and he's,
Yeah,
of course,
that's right.
Dangerfield. It's a perfect movie.
Yeah.
Maybe you should replicate that.
No, I don't think anybody wants that. I dropped out of school when I was 16. I have nothing to base it on.
And you are an electrical gadgetry apprentice. How long
Yeah,
did that last?
About 18 months.
Oh, okay. Do you feel?
I could maybe help you with your sockets.
Can you
You
help
could.
us
Yeah.
with this situation?
Can you solder well?
Yeah, I can solder. I don't know. That looks pretty.
It's advanced.
that looks like year 3. I never got that far. That's a
Let's
lot
just
of
say it's
wire.
good you have backup panties if you're going to tackle that one.
Yeah, that to me looks like a fire hazard.
Yeah, oh, yeah. We should have an extinguisher up here.
You don't have an we have extinguishers
keep
everywhere.
it risky.
You do?
Yeah.
In your castle, nothing will even burn.
It's a house. It's a house. I was talking to one of the guys who worked on the renovations. I didn't renovate it. And he said, yeah, when we were working on it, we found this little pool of mercury.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh my God, because that's a highly toxic substance.
Yeah.
And he said it was just like rolling around in one of the rafters. And I was like, what did you do? He said, well, we had to call poison control guys and they come and the hazmat guys and they take it all away. And I said, why would they have mercury? And he said, it's the weirdest thing. What they used to do is when they were defending the house from people that were attacking it,
Yeah.
in these tiny little windows, the archers would dip the arrows in mercury and fire them. So even if you got grazed with it, you were dead.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that crazy? Of
That's
course, the archers would all
savage.
die of mercury poisoning as well, but that's what they did. It was germ warfare.
And someone just left a bunch of their mercury up in the rafters?
Yeah, that's not all that was left there either. They
Oh,
found some
really?
other stuff. Yeah, they found a body when they were renovating.
Oh, my
found
God.
Was it mummified or?
It was very old. It was like 500 years old.
No.
Found it in one of the walls.
Is that Jeff?
It is, Jeff. Yeah. Jeff is there now. Jeff is actually in the place where they
Is
found
he?
the body. That's where he is. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Do you ever just go have a chat with him? Like,
No, I don't.
Okay.
But I talk to Josh all the time.
Yeah, you love Josh.
I do love Josh. It's that chemistry thing you're talking
Yeah.
about. Somebody that just makes you laugh. I mean, that motherfucker makes me laugh like nobody else. He's unbelievable.
Some people wake up your spirit.
Something like that.
Yeah.
He did a thing once. I still laugh about it. He impersonates a lot of people, and he was doing R2D2, but he did him as a kind of wise guy, kind of from New York.
Oh,
hey,
New
how
York,
you
like-
doing, Billy, Billy, beep? What the weirdest fucking thing.
Yeah.
He's very, very creative, and of course, like many of us, he has
Now
his
you
demons.
now you just can't leave.
Yeah. Billy Bob, I feel the force, boss. Very, very funny man.
Well, I adore you, and I really hope this comes together, and I hope you enjoyed seeing your old talk show soulmate
Definitely. People used to always say, who's your favorite guest? And I would always say Betty White.
because it's respectful.
Yeah. And also Betty asked me.
Yeah.
But Betty shuffled off, and now that Betty's gone, no, Kristen was. The evidence was there anyway.
63 appearances.
The numbers
Something
speak
like
for
that.
themselves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy. Was it 60? It was
I don't think it
making
was
that up.
63, but it was a lot of calls of, hey, somebody can't come in on Tuesday. Can you be here at 4? Sure.
That's a real gesture of love and support and desperation and all the things that make relationships great.
It was always fun. It always pushed my boundaries a little bit again because I do want everything to be planned so that I feel safe. But the fact that I felt so safe with you and your team, and yet I knew every time I got there, you'd rip up those cards and it would just be a free-for-all and we'd see what we got.
Do you know what's so weird about that is that I never knew that about you until this moment.
Really?
Yeah, I always thought you were like, fucking let's do it.
party.
Yeah, that's fine. Because I remember walking around Montmartre with you and Eddie Izzard. Then we were in that fancy restaurant with Jean Reno talking about the meaning of life and all that shit.
Had you already done couples retreat at that point? You don't know.
Now my memory's so bad.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You must have.
I must
Because
have.
we had been together for a
Now,
while.
did Jean Reno actually remember me from couples retreat? I highly doubt
Okay,
that.
that's
I don't
fair,
think.
yeah.
He's a little too European to remember.
He's very European and he was very serious. And that was just quite the juxtaposition between walking the streets with Eddie, who was like so irreverent, and then Jean Reno was very serious and using the right silverware at the duck restaurant. we were at.
yeah. Tour d'argent.
I tell this story at the risk of really offending scuba aficionados, like they're going to come
Fuck
after
those
me
guys.
for this.
They've had it their way too long. Those scuba fish. Fuck those people.
Self-contained underwater breathing apparatus.
Yeah.
So she does couples retreat. It's in Bora Bora. I'm just there hanging and writing. And Jean Reno's in the movie. And he has brought his diving master from when he did The Big Blue. Do you remember that incredible
Yeah,
Luc
of
Besson
course,
movie?
yeah.
So they have been friends since that movie. And that was probably 20 years prior to this. That guy's there like I'm there, right? He's hanging with Jean Reno. And they go on dives any day that he has the day off. And he invites all of us to go diving. And he says, do you have any experience? And I go, no, none whatsoever. I've never been down more than like 10 feet in a pool. I said, no problem. You know, so-and-so is there. They took all of us diving and we fucking dove. Like we were down deep in caves and everything. And it was the most thrilling.
It was wild.
fucking-
Tons of
dangerous.
lemon
It
sharks.
was very, have you done it?
I did Shark Week on the Discovery
Oh, right.
Channel.
Duh. Yeah. You have a moment where you're going down, and whatever. That guy's showing us at what speed to go down, blah, 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 to be safe. But then you look up and you go, okay, if my air ran out right now, I can't get to the top.
Nope.
Right? That crosses your mind every time.
I'm in fact one of the aforementioned scuba aficionados.
Okay, are you pissed that I did this?
I'm a little annoyed. But, you know, I'm trying not to let my love of scuba get in the way of our friendship. But the thing that struck me about it, the first time I saw it, is that when you go underwater and the first time you see the silhouette of a shark in the distance and think, this is the first time in my fucking life I've not been top of the food chain. This is terrifying.
Yeah.
I'm prey.
All the instincts are there.
Yeah, stuff you didn't know was there.
Have you swam with some big sharks?
Yeah. Did you do Shark Week as well?
I didn't do Shark Week, but I cage dove with great whites.
Oh, jeez.
And
Were they like biting
With
the side of the fucking
tiger
cage
sharks
and shit,
as
right?
well. No, they were very nice.
Oh, they were.
Yeah,
it was
nice
you.
guys.
Yeah.
They were nice guys.
It's that chemistry thing.
I have such an oblivious perspective about the reality of predators because I don't get scared around animals.
This is true.
And so going into the cage, you know, I was like up against it, saying hi to everyone who was swimming around me.
That's a little weird.
I feel tons of fear about other things, but I don't feel fear about that. Like when we went to Africa.
Have you done that, a safari?
No, I never have.
We did it.
Heavenly.
And you're in the Jeep with no door.
I've got one of those.
Then you're halfway there.
Yeah, I'll drive.
The lion walks up next to the fucking Jeep and you're 2 feet away from it. There's nothing between you. And the lion turns and locks eyes with you. And in your head, you're like, the driver said we don't represent their prey because we're in a car. Nothing to worry about. I'm shitting bricks.
All I could do not to reach out and pet him.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
really, but I was
crazy.
smart enough to know, like, you can't touch them. But I just don't.
Never bothered.
no.
And I was a wreck the first week we were there. I was like, one of them's going to jump in. Why wouldn't they? I was hungry enough. They looked me dead in the eyes. They know I'm here. I found it very scary.
As delicious as you look, maybe you're just not to a lion's taste.
Clearly not, or I would have been got.
Is that the thing? Is like once they've tasted human flesh?
That's the rumor.
I think that's probably
Wait,
made
that
up
they
shit.
then like it or don't like
Yeah,
it?
they get a
I think
taste for humans.
I think they taste human flesh and then they turn into vampires or something. I don't know. You have to,
God, I have
they
to
have, you have to
fact-check
invite
that.
them into your house or something. I can't remember.
They say that about polar bears too.
Yeah.
There's like other
Well,
bears.
polar bears will stalk you. Like,
sure.
You'd be on the plane going home home and the polar bear will be a couple of seats behind you, reading the newspaper, like wearing a hat.
With a hat, yeah, gabardine hat.
Hey, I'm just going to Reno.
Oh, no wine for me, thank you. I have my sights on something else.
That's a great polar bear voice. That's better than mine. Mine was like, hey, how you doing? But I like yours.
Yours is from New York.
Yeah, that's all I can do.
Hey, how's yous doing?
How's you doing? Hey, how's you doing? Oh, my God.
All right. Well, we adore you. I'm so glad you came in. I miss you. Oh, last thing. I had some anticipation of seeing how you look because I haven't seen you in person in 10 years. You look even fucking cooler. Don't you think, Kristen? How
Yeah, you're
fucking
cute as can
cool is
be.
he looking with this hairdo?
Very white.
You've gotten more tats.
It's so
Yeah,
cool.
I have got a
exposed
lot more
tat.
tat.
I remember when you first got your snake.
Yeah. I love that you're going to name Anonymous in press and television, but you have a fucking poster on your arm. Like, you're really picking your battles here.
Well, you know.
You're going to be in the photos with a big AA symbol on your arm, but you're...
No, it's on my inner arm and it's behind a crow. I think I'll be all right.
We both have crows.
Yeah, you gotta have crows.
You gotta have crows.
Listen,
this
you're
is
not
more
coming to my house in Scotland unless you got a fucking crow.
Well, then I'll be there.
Yeah.
Listen, okay, this is more, I think you and I are like twins separated by...
We're brothers.
Okay, why do you love the crow? I want to know if it's the same reason I do.
I don't have a specific reason, but I will tell you a story about a crow very quickly.
Tell it longly.
You know the little bit where Highland and Franklin meet? So I'm driving there one day and it was raining and I was with Megan and then a crow just went out of a fucking wormhole. I'd never seen anything like it in my fucking life. It just appeared. I swear to God.
It materialized.
And I said to Megan, did you see that? Did you see that? And she went, yeah, they do that all the time. And I was like, I didn't know they could do that.
You didn't know they could apparate and
Apparently they can. They can apparate.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's why you...
Now, I don't want to annoy any crow aficionados who say, no, that is not the behavior exhibited by a crow.
A corvid expert?
Yeah, but I like them. They're magic.
Okay, you like them because they just appear out
I like
of
them
nowhere.
because they're magical birds.
Because they're
I think that's-
magical.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if you can relate to mine, though.
Okay.
Let's see if you can find a toehold, which is they're not the prettiest bird, but they're the smartest.
Yeah, facial recognition.
And you can
absolutely.
get pretty far.
Ah, I see where you're going. I think that's
feel
maybe
that a
why I
little bit?
like them now. I'm hooking on
Maybe
to
you
it.
just hadn't articulated it.
Yeah, you explained it to me. You explained my love of crows to me, and that is why your podcast is so much better than my podcast.
No way. And we have a ton of them in the yard, which is such a delight. And we also have a hawk in the yard. And again, they're not the toughest either, but they're fearless. Anytime the hawk takes flight, 5 of them go up and
I've
just start
seen it,
dive bombing. The hawk doesn't give a fuck, which is also cool.
Yeah, that's
It's just
right.
like chill.
Does the hawk smoke? I feel like the hawk smokes.
Camel lights. Yeah. Soft pack only.
Yeah, that's
Never
right.
hard pack.
Rolled up in the wing.
Yeah, there's
very
always
nice.
one left in there too.
Yeah.
I have been trying so hard to get them to recognize our faces and to start exchanging gifts. Because I've read about it and seen people that do it. And I do have a basket inside that's labeled for the crows. And it's like peanuts, trail mix, kibble. There's
Shiny
just like
things.
dog kibble, shiny things. Like I steal some of the kids' little toys and trinkets and put them in there. And I thought I was onto something the other day. Because sometimes we'll see like 15 of them just swooping around. And I'll go outside and I'll just throw it all over
It
the
was
yard.
Hitchcockian the other day. There was like 45 in
That's
a tree. And I
awesome.
was like, we're about 10 away from it getting scary. Like, it was awesome.
One of them came down and took a branch from the olive tree, like from the ground to their nest. And I
You
screamed,
leapt into action.
everybody in the house, nobody go near the windows. And I went and got the crow basket and I just started putting all the foods because they said you don't know what each individual crow is going to like. So you got to put a lot of stuff out there, hoping that one of them would come back, and nobody came back.
They might have more expensive taste. You need to put some more expensive stuff
You
out
think
there.
so? They're supposed to
caviar
like
or
dog kibble.
Beverly Hills crows. That's kind of what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
We're in LA.
We're
So-
joking about this, but it is true that these things are spoiled, rotten living in LA. If we lived in the middle of nowhere in Wyoming and we put out the shit we put out, the crows would go bananas. They'd be
Right.
all over it because all they're eating is fucking sour berries off of trees. But they're living so large here with all the fruit trees that are in the area. They don't really give a fuck when we put food out. I've put meat out. I've done it all.
Oh, there was
Barbecued
a
for
no.
them.
There,
You put meat out?
No, there was a time when Dax put a bunch of salami over the top of his truck, on the top
Oh
of the
my
truck
God.
bed.
I would totally do that.
Because that's where they were landing. And he was like, maybe if I just spread all this
He
out.
doesn't love good salami.
I'm going to do that when I get home.
You must.
I'm going to do that. I've got a great truck, and I'm going to put salami
all
on my
over the
truck.
top.
Slather
This
the
is
roof.
so good. I'm
Yeah.
picking up such great tips.
And I kind of learned to call like they do. I've put so much time into this
okay,
crow
let's
thing.
hear it.
I can barely remember it, but
All right. That's not bad.
That's what they sound like in our yard.
It's not bad. Like,
But oftentimes he's just standing out in the yard going, crows, with his arm up in the air. Crows.
that sounds a bit more like Teletubbies right there when you're dead.
Might attract some of them too.
Uh-oh, Crawford down. Crawford down. Crow facial recognition.
Oh, why were they so creepy, Teletubbies?
I think that's a little judgmental.
It is. I'll own my judgment.
Here come the Teletubbies.
I liked them.
Teletubbies are going to come for us.
I
coming
remember
hard.
watching them when the boys were really little. I'd watch the Teletubbies and I'd be like, man, I wish I still took hashish. I feel like this,
This would be a
this is
ride.
like a little hash oil.
If
with
they're
this
this good sober, just imagine.
Oh, man. Especially Tinky Winky.
Oh, I hate it.
Tinky Winky was great. Tinky Winky fall down. Uh-oh. Tinky Winky.
All right, Craig. So much fun seeing you. Everybody listen to About Joy,
It's
a
just
podcast.
called Joy, I think. It's just called Joy.
It's just called Joy?
Yeah, just Joy.
Are you positive? No, I look it up on the... I think you're wrong about this.
Really? It might
Let
be
me pull it
about
up. I think it's important that you know. I turn my...
Joy. Yeah.
Oh, my
it's just
God.
Okay, we'll edit out all the about.
Joy. No. I mean, look, it's
No,
okay.
We'll steam ahead. Everybody listen to About Joy.
Oh,
With Craig Ferguson. Adore you. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, guys.
Stay tuned for the fact check so you can hear all the facts that were wrong.
Should we warn the cherries right now?
What?
We've been interviewing for, I guess, like 6 hours at this point.
We're tired.
Well, we're just slap happy a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Well, okay, you're tired. I'm a little
You're
slap happy.
tired.
I'm exhausted. But it gets to the point when we do Armchair Anonymous, because we'll do 8 in a row.
Yeah.
By the end, you and I are kind of off our rockers.
Yeah, a
That's
little
fair
bit.
to say, right?
Yeah.
We're in another zone, which I love. It's like being at a sleepover and
Yeah.
everything's silly.
They call it slap happy, but why?
Slap happy.
What does it mean? Why?
Rob, what's the meaning of slap happy?
So 1930s originally described someone who's punch drunk or stupefied from repeated blows to the head.
Yeah, I know punch drunk, so it's related to that. Slap happy.
That's
Slap-
not.
that's
Like a
not what we
slap
said.
happy boxer.
Oh.
I'm not getting much out of that.
Well, it goes back to the thing you don't like, fighting. Simmy. I also want to tell the cherries that you were waving goodbye to people on these calls, and it looked preposterous.
Why? Why does it look preposterous?
First of all, waving goodbye on a Zoom is just funny. And I've done it too.
I love doing it.
Waving on a Zoom. Bye.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's wrong? What's the difference between on a Zoom and in real life?
I feel like waving goodbye is something you do when there's a great distance between you. All right, take care. Or, hey, hi. You would never walk up to somebody face to face and wave and go, hi, right? That is insane. And nor would you be talking and like, okay, you're taking off. Cool, bye. And you wouldn't wave.
No.
Waving's for distance.
Listen. Well,
Yeah.
first of all, Zoom is the ultimate distance. People were across the country.
Okay.
Okay.
If you're talking
Okay,
literally.
that's a check in my box.
Okay.
Now, two,
We're face to face, though.
if you're standing here by my chair and I'm just 1 foot away about to walk out the door, this is what I would do. Hand on the door, start to open, look back, bye. And I would wave.
You would throw a wave.
I
out.
do. I wave at you all the time. You never
Really?
knew.
Yeah, it just looks crazier on TV. Because I'm watching it. I can't see you waving. I'm looking forward at the camera or at the computer.
Yeah.
And all I see is next to me, I see someone waving like they're in a parade. Homecoming parade. Pardon me.
Did you get any boogers?
Not boogers, just a tiny bit of. Your nose doesn't run
Wetness.
much, right?
No. And actually, this is a great.
What am I doing?
You're just picking your nose.
No,
very
I have
openly.
tissue.
I love it.
I was like just getting the wetness
Okay,
out.
can
of
I
it.
say something
Yes.
about people who are doing what you're doing right now?
Yeah.
People who do what you're doing, which is, I feel like when I have tissue, like if I have to blow my nose or pick my nose
Yeah.
in public or something, of course
Okay.
I use tissues, but I don't use the motion, the one finger picking motion.
Pushing up into the
Yeah.
But I just want to be clear. I'm not picking. I would never pick my nose with tissue. I would use my fingernail. When I do this, I'm trying to get like whatever snot's in there.
Okay.
I'm not picking up. I don't have any boogers. I just have some drainage.
Right. It looks very.
Like I'm picking.
Yeah, it looks like you're picking and you just chose to put a little tissue on top and you might as well just take the tissue off.
You've been busted in your car picking your nose, haven't you? Where you've looked over and you realize, yeah, they just saw me pick my nose at this light.
God. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never noticed someone noticing, but I'm sure I've picked my nose and people have noticed.
I have. And then let me add that my general assumption of how many people recognize me in general life is like 1 in 100. That's kind of like what I operate with thinking. When I look over and someone has seen me pick my nose, I'm like, they 100% know me.
Yes.
I go straight to,
Yeah.
they've got a story now. Yeah. And little do they know, I'm just trying to get some of the drainage out.
My mom has a very drainy nose as well.
She does. Allergies.
I don't know what it is, but we were actually just talking about this, that she just always has.
Well, she has a
like,
cold,
wet.
right?
Well, she does she has an active cold. Is that what you're thinking of?
No, not because of the cold.
Okay.
Just in general.
Right.
I think mine is pretty dry as a nose.
Yeah,
in general.
it makes sense because you don't pee. You have a dry nose. You're just generally kind of
Dehydrated.
dry. Oh, allergies.
Yeah.
I notice this when I travel. I don't have a runny nose when I leave California. I'm allergic to something in California.
Yeah,
I didn't
well-
have one growing up like habitually like Aaron always did. But in California, I do.
We have bad air.
Bad air and then dogs. I live with dogs,
Yes,
which
yes,
is not
yes.
great.
Yeah.
Even though they're hypoallergenic.
Yeah.
I don't know that I trust that. Because I was just gone for a week and I noticed, I don't have any of that
wow. Yeah. You know what's really sucks?
Hmm.
Don't you think if you see someone attractive picking their nose,
shit. Yeah.
like it's fine?
Of course.
I know.
Yeah, I like anything someone that I'm attracted to does.
I meant more blanketly.
Yeah. And this is the
Strangers.
tax that I'm always talking about that exists in life. There's a tax on people that aren't super hot.
I know.
Yes, it's it came up in the Megan Phelps Roper, which she totally owned, which is, I'm not like beating, but she was shown so much patience while she was a Westboro Baptist member.
Right.
And by her eventual husband.
Yeah.
And I was like, if you're not attractive, no one's going to show you that patience.
It would be harder. Yeah.
That's what's really unfair about planet Earth.
Yeah. I wonder if people see you if someone saw you picking your nose and you're not famous.
Right.
You're a stranger.
I can't pull it off. I'm so big.
Can you pull it? I think
No, I'm
you
too
can.
big. Like, look at that fucking big guy over
He's
there
like an
digging his
oaf.
nose. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
An ogre.
Yeah.
That's where my size would work against me.
But do you think you do it daintily?
Me?
Yeah. When you pick your nose.
No, if I gotta pick my nose, I just fucking pick it.
You do?
Yes. If it needs
Do
picking, it doesn't. It's so rare that I have a booger, but I would just.
Oh, yeah. I've seen you do that.
Yeah, I would just pick it. I don't. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna worry more about what someone thinks than this annoying booger in my nose. I
Well,
can't
yeah.
do it. Well,
that's okay. See,
that's my
sometimes you
privilege.
act, kind of, and sometimes you act like you care so much about people's approval, but not so much that you can't even not pick your nose.
Well, I do think that's true. I'm not really that codependent, yet I do want everyone's approval.
yeah, that makes no sense.
Well, it's just I'm going to spend a lot of my energy trying to win you over, but I'm also not going to be someone I'm not for you
Yeah,
to approve
that's
of me.
okay.
But
like
I'm going
that.
to chase your approval for sure.
Okay, when you were little,
Yeah, never was, but go ahead.
yes, you were.
I was born this size.
No. When you would pick your nose,
Yeah.
where'd you put it?
Anywhere I could. My sock, under the bed,
Yes.
on the bed frame, under my desk at school.
Yes.
Now, I do have this it's one of my most visceral, distinct memories.
Okay.
My brother was playing flag football and I had to go to the game. And I was sitting on this log that had been laid out. It was like a parking, like to stop people from, it was like demarcating the parking lot. So it was this long log, like a telephone pole on its side. I'm just sitting there watching the game. I'm bored out of my mind. This little boy my age sits down next to me. And he's like, your brother playing too? And I'm like, yeah. Beat. Do you eat your boogers? Second question. do you eat your boogers? And I go, no, which I didn't.
Yeah.
He goes, really? And I go, no. And he goes, I do. I'm like, oh. And then we did not talk, but we sat on this log next to each other. And I just remember, even at that
How
age,
old was he?
we were both probably 7.
Oh.
And even at that age, I knew that this was an awkward experience. You don't think kids feel awkward, but I remember
Yes.
feeling awkward. Like, Jesus, where do we go from this question?
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The bed frame
Took
is
a lot
common.
of
I don't want
boogers
to
at
talk
your-
about it, but we
you
are
did too.
talking about it.
Well, you already exposed your position by
because I was curious if I was alone.
Yep, and you were very excited and relieved when I would put it on my bed frame. I can remember feeling the steel bed frame under my bed where I would place boogers. I got to say one more thing while we're on the topic of my runny nose.
Okay.
And you've witnessed it.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to have a box of Kleenex next to my bed because I'm
You
constantly.
do. I
yes,
think about
and-
you a lot whenever there are tissues because you need tissues everywhere.
Yes. So what's so embarrassing, I realize, is like, let's say the housekeepers have come on Friday
Mm-hmm.
and I forgot for some reason to pick up there's always 3 tissues on my bed because I'm also super frugal with the tissues. I won't just use it once and then throw it away. I like nurse them for the whole night. And so every now and then I've left and I go, oh, fuck, the cleaners are here.
And I forgot to
There's
throw
like
out my
3 tissues that have been used. Like,
Yeah.
And then I think, do they think,
You're awful.
well, it's awful, period, if it's just a tissue from my
Oh,
nose.
you think
But do they think I've left behind beat off tissues?
No.
They don't.
Absolutely do.
In a bet, right?
Maybe.
No.
I'm constantly wondering what they think because the tissues is weird.
I mean, they're probably like,
What a pig.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's true. And I usually really remember to do that.
You're not a pig, I will say.
But often I don't give myself a bunch of ample time. I just have enough time to do the little
you're
things.
not- we all do
And then I
this.
take the kids to school. And then so often when I come back in, like it's off to the races.
Yeah.
And I don't even go back upstairs. And those are the times where it's happened. And I hate that I've done that. And I do worry they think I'm beating off.
Are they
and-
ever right?
No. That I would never leave on my bed. I don't know why I think it's fine to leave like some mildly snotty tissues on my bed, but I would not leave that on my bed.
Yeah. I think that's correct.
Reasonable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Oh boy.
Rob, did you ever put your boogers on your bed frame? Be honest.
I think I'd like flick them in the carpet.
Okay. Sure. It's very universal. Everyone has boogers.
Everyone
everyone
does
has to
have boogers,
pick
but I
their
don't know if
boogers.
everyone does the same thing.
Everyone is gross with themselves. I really
are.
believe that. Yes. I think
so, too.
everyone's, because anyone I've ever gotten close enough and been intimate with, I have found out they were also gross. I just have never, as soon as I've gotten very close to somebody, I do discover that they're equally as disgusting as I am.
Yeah.
It helped that Aaron and I were best friends because he is just so honest about everything he does.
I just don't think that girls are talking about where they're putting their boogers.
Probably, I wouldn't know, obviously, but
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I've ever talked about
you and Callie
that.
have never talked about that?
No.
Okay.
Only just now me and you are talking about
Okay, in America.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
me, you, and America. I had a lovely night last night.
Okay, let's hear it.
I participated in this fundraiser that Paul Scheer and his wife, June, put
Diane
on.
Raphael.
Yes, hyper talented couple.
Yeah, very.
And they put on this spectacular show. It was like doing the Oscars. I mean, I
Oh,
can't believe
wow.
how well run it was.
Where was it?
At the Amorpheum? What is it?
Orpheum.
Orpheum. I cannot get the name of that. This is like the 20th time I got Orpheum.
Okay, cool.
Have you been there? Mm-mm. Big theater, like, I don't know, a couple thousand seats or something.
Yeah.
So Paul had asked me to do it, and I was like, yeah, absolutely. And then I said, what am I doing? And he said, you're going to go on stage and you're going to do 1-minute interviews, and you will not know the questions and you don't know who you're going to interview. And I said, okay, great. So I went there, and by the way, I'm on the fence if this is a gross story to tell or not.
Because they're going to tell about your piece.
No, but I could. I got a
Yeah.
sweatshirt I love
Yes.
because I was watching our favorite documentary,
Beckham.
documentary, and his teammate had this sweater.
And you're obsessed now with Beckham's style.
So obsessed. Yes. It's laughable
Yeah.
how obsessed I am. Weirdly, it wasn't one of his outfits. It was his teammates who
Yes.
also had really good style. And he was also the cutest guy in it besides
Which
Beckham.
one?
Short black hair. He's in that fucking sweatshirt
Is
I
he
wore
the
nonstop.
one that was
Teammate
on Manchester United?
Yes.
Oh, I loved him. He seemed very low key. I liked him a lot.
And a kind of
Was he in, like,
sarcastic
Glenn or
and
something?
funny. He's awesome. And he had great style. He had a couple good pieces.
So you've invested in some pieces.
I have.
Yeah.
I've gone down your road.
I know, and nothing makes me more thrilled.
It's exciting. We're going to share this now. The way it happened too is Charlie and I were watching the Beckham doc in Austria, in Austin.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, what do you think of that hoodie? He's like, it's incredible. And they keep coming to him. I'm like, fuck, that thing is awesome. And he's like, it's so cool. I go online and I look, see if I could find that said piece, and I found it.
Yeah.
But in a zipper version. But that's not even the story. But I did wear that last night.
Yeah.
And it made me feel very confident.
Yes.
Maybe it is actually it probably is a little bit a part of the story.
Okay.
I go there and
It's Burberry. I just
thanks
wanted
for
to
putting
say.
me on blast.
I have to. If I
It
were
is,
talking
it
about
is,
the
it
row.
is, it is.
Yeah.
It's a Burberry sweatshirt.
Yeah.
And the hoodie part is the classic Burberry
plaid.
pattern. And I have this attachment to the Burberry pattern because one time in an international airport, I had all these euros and I didn't want to bring them back.
Yeah.
Because they just sit in my fucking dresser and I forget to bring them the next time. So I was like, what am I going to do? There was a Burberry store. I've never been in one. I go in there. I'm like, what can I buy with these remaining euros? They had a belt.
Yeah.
I barely wanted to get this belt.
Yeah.
And it became my favorite belt for like 5 years. I wore it till it didn't work anymore.
No, if you image Google search you,
Yeah.
the belt is in pictures.
It is?
Yes, because also I tried to
Yes,
get it
you
for
got
you.
me one. It's just the wrong size.
Oh, fuck. I would have
Yeah.
returned it.
Oh, it's hanging in my, like I would never get rid of it, but it also doesn't function as a
Oh
belt.
my God. Okay, well, we should, maybe I
Rectify
could
that?
still return it. But I don't think it's exact because I don't think they have that exact one anymore.
It
but
wasn't
it's
exact,
the
but
same
but,
pattern.
but worse, it's not the right size for me because it does look great. So I go there and I see Andrea Savage right away, old friend.
Great.
Love Andrea. So I have fun talking to her. And then there's Jack Black's there.
Great.
Brian Cranston's there.
Oh.
And Jeremy Allen White is there.
Yeah, Jeremy Allen White.
And I go introduce myself to him,
Mm-hmm.
and he's fucking so cute. It's outrageous. And I tell him, my friend Monica just saw you at Little Dom's. And he goes, oh my God, really? She should have said hi. I love the show. So now I'm just like, I can't believe he loves the show.
Me either. That's
And he loves you.
so
And I'm like, oh my
flattering.
God, this is so exciting. What if she would have said hi? Who knows what would have happened?
Well, he was in conversation. I haven't told that story on here. It was
Oh, you
very
didn't.
exciting.
But you had spotted him at that
I
restaurant.
spotted him at Little
Yeah.
Dom's. I recognized him from the back.
Yes.
And
Which says a lot.
Yes, I could see his arm.
Yeah, it's nice.
And I thought, I really think, and like his hair, but I think maybe he was wearing a hat.
He just exudes a vibe.
He
like you can
does.
feel his vibe.
And I said to who I was with, I was like, I think that's Jeremy Allen White.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh my God, he's so hot.
Yes, of course.
And I was like, I know, I can't really tell if it's him, but I really think it's him.
Yeah.
And I don't know if people believe me or not. And I don't really care if they do, but I really hardly care anymore
Sure.
about celebrity encounters.
Yeah, but if they're like bona fide sex machines.
So hot.
yes, of course.
Yes. And it was actually, I found it exciting and sort of, it tickled
took
me
you back.
that I was excited about
Yes.
this. And I was trying to figure out if it was him. And I did something I never do.
Oh my God.
I
don't know if
am
I know
allowed
this
to
part of the
say
story.
this? I hope this doesn't get anyone in trouble.
Okay, but you asked the server or something?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't.
yeah.
I started to, I felt I had to know.
Yes.
We're friendly. We go
Yeah.
to Little Dom's a ton, and we're friendly with a lot of the servers. So our server came up checking on us, and I said, I can't believe I'm about to do this, but and then she said, it is him.
Because she was all fluttered too,
Everyone-
probably.
I'm sure
yeah, the whole
everyone
restaurant's
was.
fucked up. I can't imagine having that power.
You do.
I do not have that
Yes.
power. No.
Don't you feel sometimes? Okay,
Monica.
let's talk about this.
Okay.
Because I'm starting to feel it too, on my end. Where do we do this too much? where we can't stop talking about how ugly we think we are.
Yes, it's so annoying to people.
It must be.
And I try to admit, I try to mix in the reality. I'm so lucky. I don't look how I want to look, but I'm so lucky. And
I know,
look
but then
all right.
I don't like us then having to do. Then this part also feels gross too. Like,
All right, we'll stop doing that. Let's commit to like, we're not going to say that we're not hot anymore.
okay, but like it is still how I feel, and so then
Same.
then it comes
well,
up.
Well, and I think it's preposterous that you're saying that I have an effect on people that Jeremy does, because I just was around him.
But you do, and so then this is the trap. I've actually noticed it on Synced because it'll come up of my feelings
Your
about
low
myself.
self-esteem, yeah.
And Liz, she gets angry about it.
Yeah, I understand. That's why I'm acknowledging it, because I'm sure there are many dudes looking at me and going, fuck you.
But also, yeah, I mean, I know for sure it's happening at restaurants. Jimmy told you Molly has a crush on you. Like, people
Well, she likes my
we talk all the
personality.
time to people who said you're their hall pass.
That's the thing. You can't penetrate. I've been trying to convince you you're attractive, and it's not worked, and it's been 8 years. And yes, so you're right. It's probably exhausting, and let's try to put it to bed. I agree. That's a good policy.
But we probably will still do it.
Well, it might burble
wrong
up
with you?
sometimes. Yeah, but yes, I think that's a good idea. So we'll stop. And I'm grateful. I truly am grateful.
Yeah.
Like, as much as I don't like how I look, I'm also, more than I am that, I'm grateful.
Oh, yeah. That's what I
Yes.
also
And
try
then
to
we're gonna make
say
clear that.
in some of those episodes. Like, it's okay. I don't feel like that's
I don't-
holding me back that I don't love the way I look.
Yeah, I don't feel like who's the humpback or what was his name?
The Hunchback.
The
of Notre
Hunchback
Dame.
You
from Notre
mean
Dame.
Shrek.
Right. I don't feel like Shrek. I don't feel like an ogre or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm fine. Everything's
Except
great.
when you're picking your nose.
Okay, listen. We're off topic. But anyways,
Okay.
I meet him and it's really fun.
Yes.
And I felt it a few different times before this, but when I really felt it, again, I don't know if this whole story is going to be gross and a waste of time,
No.
but I'm walking across. Now, backstory, I've met Jack Black twice, I think, in my life. And I don't think I've seen him for 8 years, 10 years. I'm an enormous fan of his.
Yeah.
I think he's so talented.
Me too.
When I met him the previous couple times, I'm like intimidated, and I think I'm worried he thinks I'm a piece of shit, right? Like I was active in my mind because I like him so much.
Yeah.
So I am walking across this green room, and it's very large. And then I see him sitting on a couch, and I think, I'm going to go grab my shit, and I'm going to go sit down and talk to him. And then I start beelining over to my Diet Cokes and my spit cup. And I hear Jack goes, "Are you going to act like you didn't see me?" He yells that. Because he saw me look at him and then look away. And I go, "No, that's not. I'm literally going to get my shit because I saw you and I decided I wanted to sit next to you." Yeah. He's like, "Oh, okay, whatever." And I'm like, "No, sincerely, that's what was happening." So I go sit on the couch with him and I talk to him for like a half hour. Mm-hmm. It's totally fun. I'm so relaxed. I just feel so relaxed. Mm-hmm. I have to go out on stage. I feel so relaxed when I go out on stage. I get to interview Kamal,
Friend of the pod.
then Jeremy Allen White, and then Jack Black.
So fun.
And I drove away and I was like, wow, that's the first time I think ever that I felt I completely belong. I have no less than feelings.
That's great.
I don't need to win anyone over. I want to be very clear. I didn't have more than feelings.
Yes.
It's not like I was going, I'm hot shit.
Yeah.
But the racket was gone
wonderful.
entirely for maybe the first time in my life. And I walked in there, I was by myself, but that didn't make me feel insecure. And
Good.
I meandered over here, and then I talked to Andrea, and I'm like, oh yeah, I have friends here, and I belong here.
Yes.
And maybe in the past I would have watched, because I was off stage watching Bryan Cranston, and he's doing a monologue, and he's just so fucking talented and gifted. And there have been times in my life where I would have been watching that thinking like, God, you're such a shitty actor. You would never be able to do that. Or he's so
They would
good and
never
you're
ask
bad.
me
And
to do something like
sure,
that.
and he's kind to me, but he knows I can't do what he can do. Like I would have that racket.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just watching him, and I was just thinking, I'm so delighted that I get to share a stage with someone like this. And I deserve to say, I don't do what he does, but I do a thing at this point.
Yeah.
And I am comfortable doing it, and people seem to like it just fine. And it was just like the calmest I've ever felt. And just no less thanness, which was really new.
That's
and
lovely.
I felt very grateful. And I'm like, oh, maybe this is like about getting older and stuff. Like you kind
Getting
of
more
shut the
comfortable.
fuck up about your this racket in your head about everything.
Yeah.
So it was a really pleasing
great.
experience for many reasons. The show was really fun. I got to talk to a bunch of people I really like, and it was fun. And then I just never felt insecure or shitty.
Good.
Yeah, it was really nice.
I love that.
Yeah, and like Jeremy, I'm talking to Jeremy, and it's like, I'm never going to be as cool as this guy. But that's not what I'm thinking about. Like this Sean Penn vibe he's got, which is so awesome. He's awesome. He's so fucking awesome. But I love that he's awesome.
Yeah.
It doesn't nothing to do with me that
Yeah,
he's awesome.
exactly. Yeah.
Fucking this fly's on the attack
I
now.
told you. There's a fly in here, not because of my flies.
Well,
It's not my flies.
we'll see.
I've already had my flies
Checked.
for the month.
That was the story I wanted to tell you.
I love it. That's not gross. That's really nice. I wonder if I'll get there. I think I will.
You will.
Yeah.
Yeah, you will.
I mean, I have it in
getting
some.
there.
I have it in some elements, but not in all elements.
Right.
But that's really
But like, I think a lot of us suffer from, I know Kristen does. She's very open about it. We suffer from wanting to be able to do everything. And when
Yeah.
we're in the face of things that we probably can't do, we feel deficient.
Yeah.
It's very common too with actors because it's like, well, I don't know, are you a dramatic actor? Are you a comedian? How funny of a comedian are you?
Yeah.
I'm a comedic actor. I'm not a stand-up. But all these little dumb categories. And then you appreciate everyone else's talent. And then you recognize you're not in all these categories. And so I think it's pretty natural to be thinking about it. But I think the thing I know you'll get to is just like, I do something.
Yeah.
The Jack Black thing is like, I think maybe the easiest one for me to pinpoint, because in the past I would have thought, fuck, I'm not as funny as Jack Black. And I'm not. I am not as funny as Jack Black.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just objectively, I am not.
Yeah.
Yet Jack Black is not something that I am as
Exactly,
well, right?
yeah.
And I just finally feel like I'm just delighted with whatever thing I'm doing that people seem to like. Actually, I'm
Yeah.
just like grateful for it, and it's totally the perfect amount of the thing I'm supposed to be.
For sure. I mean, the thing that you are so good at is getting showcased in a real way through this. That's your true thing you have to offer the world. And you there's a platform for it, and it's getting recognized and seen, and that's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the show is a big part of this, because even the premise of me being on that stage is I am doing an interview.
Interviewer,
Yeah. And part of the thing that they had written, not me, but it's like, the premise, I got to say the premise, like, hi, I don't know if you guys have heard Armchair Expert, but I do these long form things in 2 hours. We're going to change that tonight. I'm going to do it for 1 minute and I'm not going to know anything, blah, blah, blah. That's kind of the setup. But there is some part of me that when I know I have to say Armchair Expert on the stage. I don't know what audience is here because it's not our audience. It's not like we threw the live show. And so some part of me is like, be prepared that maybe not one person claps or knows what you're talking about. Like that, you gotta imagine that's also on the table.
Yeah.
And then when I say Armchair Expert, there's a bunch of armchairs there.
Oh, sweet.
And then I go like, oh, right. Yes, that's the thing I do now. And I love it. It's nice to know what I do, I guess.
Yeah. To know that you're in your element.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of someone in their element,
Yeah.
Craig Ferguson.
Oh, is he ever? That guy's very comfy in his own skin, isn't he?
He is. Okay, so he talked about the diversity in Glasgow. Glasgow. It is diverse. Largest percentage of ethnic minority groups of all the selected Scottish cities.
Oh, okay.
Largest single ethnic minority group is Pakistani,
Okay.
and a higher percentage of population recorded their ethnic group as Pakistani in Glasgow, 4%, compared to other selected Scottish cities, around 1%.
Now, how do you say the country?
Pakistan.
Right. And you notice that President Obama always said Pakistan.
Well,
And then made me think, well, certainly he must know how to say it more than I trust how I say it. But when I say Pakistan, it sounds insane.
It does.
It actually sounds racist.
It
when I
does.
say it, but
It
I'm
does.
trying. Yes.
Also because it's not, it wouldn't be Pakistan.
But that is how he says it.
No, he says Pakistan,
Pakistan.
which is actually how you say it.
Okay.
But here, I think you can say Pakistan.
Yeah. To me, it sounds like when I've
If
tried
you're a
to
white
say it like
person.
him, people think, oh, Jesus, he doesn't know how to say that.
I don't.
'Cause he
I
doesn't
agree.
care
I
about
think
that country
Yeah,
and he's
exactly,
racist. Yes,
exactly.
yes.
So I think it's fine for you to say
Pakistan?
No, Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
You can say
Pakistan?
just don't overthink it.
Okay. I don't know that I'll ever be able to just let it roll
Say it
off
really
my
fast.
tongue. Yeah. Yeah, you're good. You're fucking good.
I feel fine
you're,
saying
You're
it.
Daisy.
Daisy.
Daisy. You're Daisy, so
Desi.
you're covered.
Daisy.
Oh, good. We're fucked. Yeah,
it's
it's
not
too late.
Desi. That I know for
It's
sure.
Daisy. Glasgow.
Glasgow.
Or
Glasgow. Anyway, okay, he said you compared Toronto,
Yeah.
and then he said, yeah, but it's not as clean. So then I wanted to look up the cleanest cities
Great idea.
in the world.
Oh, man.
Here we go.
Okay.
You want to guess?
Yeah, I think it'll take too long. But there's a couple. Tokyo. Hamburg's going to be on my list.
Okay.
Toronto, I guess.
Okay.
Stockholm.
Okay.
Okay.
You
I'll
ready?
leave it there.
Okay.
Yep.
Copenhagen,
Okay.
Denmark.
Yep. Beautiful city.
Singapore City.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there.
My mom, she really wants to go to Singapore. She's always she's wanted to go for a long time.
She should join me when I go for the Formula One race.
When are you
It's
going
big
to
on
that?
my list. It's the only place I'm really still dying to go.
When-
Because I want to stay at the Grand Bay Resort.
Ooh.
It overlooks the whole track. It's this huge two different buildings, but on top it's joined on top by like this huge cement cruise ship, basically. And there's like swimming pools and tons of restaurants and
Whoa.
bars, and you can just like be in the pool looking over the side at the race.
Whoa. That's
What's it called, Rob? The Grand Bay?
The Marina Bay Sands.
Marina Bay. That's it.
cool.
September 2024.
Okay.
Is the race?
Yeah.
Book it.
I have to say something.
Oh.
This website,
With the cleanest cities?
this website of the cleanest cities is the Malaysian Singaporean
Yeah.
Bruneian Community Association.
Well, that feels a little
But
biased.
no,
I have another. I was looking at another list that Google had, and you were.
yeah, I'm
you were
still
naming
gonna
them.
do these. And also, I do know Singapore is extremely clean
Mm-hmm.
because my mother has been obsessed with Singapore for quite a while and really wants to go. And every time she talks about it, she says it's supposed to be so clean.
Right, as if like that's priority number
Yes.
one is cleanliness. Well, I know when my mom and I were there together in 97, and we had been told it was illegal to chew gum there, which it is, because they don't want gum on the street.
Oh, wow.
And we smuggled gum off.
Of course you did.
Yep.
You
Where
had
she and I
to.
are outlaws, and we kept looking at each other while we were chewing our gum.
You guys.
I know, it's who we are. Sorry.
Wow. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Helsinki, Finland.
Sure.
Brisbane, Australia.
Ah.
I'm surprised.
Brisbane.
Hamburg.
Ah, I got one.
You
ding,
did.
ding, ding.
Germany. Stockholm, Sweden.
Got one.
Sapporo, Japan.
Sure. The home of the beer.
Cleanest city in Japan because it was the host of the Winter Olympics in 72.
And they kept it so clean for 50
It's
years.
one of the world's cleanest cities and ranked first for 2 consecutive years by Keep America Beautiful.
I would love to see the committee that's going around and evaluating how clean a city is. Like, you imagine they're looking under benches of bus
My mom
stops.
should do that in her
That would be a
in
great
her
hobby
retirement.
for her. Yeah.
Okay, it says it has a recycling rate that exceeds 75%, which makes Sapporo Japan's most eco-friendly city. Okay. Calgary, Canada.
Okay.
Wellington, New Zealand.
Ah, Windy Wellington.
Ding, ding, ding. Honolulu, Hawaii.
Nope. Not true. Been there. That's the bias of the Malaysian.
It's no, because this says Honolulu was named one of the top 20 cleanest cities globally by Lonely Planet.
Isn't that the comedy group that Andy Samberg is a part of?
Lonely Island.
Lonely Island. Okay. I don't believe that one. I'm sorry. I know this is like sentient animals.
know.
Yeah, but
I
I
like-
reject that one. I've been there.
Okay.
All right. You've said enough about the product.
Tallinn, Estonia.
Okay.
Oslo,
Sure,
Norway.
Norway.
Uh-oh.
What?
London.
I think it's cleaner than Honolulu, but anyways.
Paris.
No fucking this is the most useless list in the world. Paris is a fucking trash heap. I love Paris. I would live there. It's incredible, but it's a fucking dump. What are they talking
Oh,
about?
they're counting a few. Okay, they're counting some multiple things here because it says Paris has a population of about 12 million people and very few are homeless.
What?
It also,
Oh, fuck me.
Cleanliness
that
of
kind-
humans.
well, no,
To
'cause
open
that-
your eyes in Paris, the whole place is graffiti.
But
There's
homeless,
fucking.
but it does make sense. An increased homeless population does, of course, make a city or less
little-
clean.
Sure. Just saw it this morning. They're doing
Exactly.
those
We're
cleanup
walking by
jobs.
feces.
Yeah.
Also, Paris has one of the lowest crime rates in Europe with only 4 homicides reported last year. That is
That's
crazy.
insane for a city of 12 million.
Yeah,
That
wow.
feels impossible.
Okay, Madrid.
Here's what I think.
Rome.
Hold on. Oh my God. Okay, stop. Here's what's happening. The person who compiled this list, it's the cities they've gone to, and it's just in order of cleanliness of the ones they've visited.
that's not
yes,
true.
yes, it is. Rome and Paris in Honolulu. This is utter bullshit.
Okay, I'm going to do world population review. I'm going to read this quickly. Okay.
All right.
Cleanest cities in the world 2023. Wow, Dax.
Honolulu's number 1.
But hold on. Are we going to trust world population review?
No, I don't know what the hell that is.
That's huge.
What?
I've heard of it.
It is. Yeah. It's
Oh
real.
my God, I've never heard of that.
It's really real.
I believe you guys.
Number 1, London. Number 2, Paris.
Oh my God. No.
Number 3,
There
New
isn't
York City.
Yeah, fuck
This
that
is
list.
fucking useless. Listen, you would have
Let
to
me keep going.
Hold on, you'd have to name every city in Japan before you ever got to.
Listen, number 4, Madrid. Number 5, Auckland, New Zealand. 6, Hamburg, Germany. 7, Barcelona, Spain. 8, Berlin, Germany.
Love Barcelona, been there. What a city. Would love to live there. No way.
9, Vienna, Austria. It was
Yeah,
very clean.
that's spotless.
And then 10, Sapporo, Japan.
Okay, so there's some overlap.
Look.
Fucking London and Paris and New York City. That's insane.
This clean city score is 74.89.
Oh my God.
It
my
has real
God.
scores.
There's trash everywhere in New York.
I
Actually,
know.
when I was just there, I remarked audibly how clean it actually did seem and that how few unhoused people there were there. I was
Right.
really surprised.
Well, look, it has improved enormously. I used to go there in the early 80s with my mom, and Times Square was a fucking trash pile and needle. I mean, it was a dump. New York was a dump.
I
It had
know.
a huge turnaround. And there are many parts of New York that are absolutely gorgeous, and I wouldn't even call the Upper East Side. It's not like fucking Hamburg
Right. It was really
at the Carlisle.
yes. And the Carlisle
They kept the Carlisle pretty clean.
really nice. They kept it right and tight at the Carlisle. Okay. Did most philosophers not have children? 20 most important philosophers of all time, as listed on the influential philosophy blog Leader Reports. 13 of them never had children, or 15 if you wish to include Descartes, who, though not married, had a daughter whom he saw little during her 5-year-long life. Oh, Jesus. And Rousseau, who took Aristotle's decree to the word and disowned all of his 5 children by sending them off soon after their birth to a foundling home. Okay, so there's an article called The Philosopher as Bad Dad. It's an opinion column
Okay.
in the New York Times, if you want to read that. Anyway, so 13 out of the top 20.
Above average.
Yeah.
Especially for the time they were living in.
Was Carson a drummer? Yes.
Absolutely.
How many times did Kristen do Craig's show? 28 times,
Wow.
according to IMDb.
28 times.
Yes.
That's more episodes than people do of many TV shows.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
She was a mainstay.
Yeah.
She was great every time. The Treaty of Versailles,
Yeah.
you're confusing with the Armistice.
I am.
The Armistice is
Was
the
there
train
surrender?
track railroad thing.
Okay.
The Treaty of Versailles was signed at the Palace of Versailles.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Craig.
It's okay.
My
That's what this
apologies.
is for.
Yeah.
And then I got confused because he was talking about undertakers. And here it's confusing because there's funeral directors and there's morticians. They're not necessarily the same thing. But if you look up undertaker, it kind of categorizes them all as one.
Okay.
Funeral
a
dir-
mortician is embalming the body,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
In 2021, the morticians, undertakers, and funeral directors workforce was 39,579 people.
That's a lot.
28.7% women and 71.3% men. Average funeral director is 48 years old.
My age. Maybe I'm in the wrong business.
You could get into it. Maybe that's your new niche. Maybe
Could
you'll feel
be.
really comfortable.
I bet I would.
with
Because you're by
all the
yourself.
morticians.
You're never going to feel less than around a corpse.
It's hard to.
Yeah, you're going to feel like you have more.
Actually, but that's not true because if it was like
You had a huge penis or something?
no, God.
Oh,
if
I
they
thought
had
for sure.
if they had like a big legacy and they had died with this big legacy, you might feel like, oh, what have
I
I,
would never
done?
trade life for a big legacy.
Well, you just if they're old,
right.
you might just be like, God, what have I done?
Well, that's true. Or even worse, if I was an embalming like a 38-year-old billionaire.
Well,
Oh my God,
but is it
this guy.
inherited? If it's inherited wealth in New York City, they like that.
Fine. That's just fine. Still very admirable.
Respectable. Well, that's all.
Oh, so fun.
Big old day.
We made it. Love you.
Wait, it's
Monday.
tomorrow is Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween to all. I hope you have a very spooky night.
Me too.
Bye.
Boo.